Merry Christmas to all. Um, I hope any of you who have managed to have been reprieved of being outside and stuck in, trampled at the mall on this Christmas Eve. I thought we'd create a quick hangout just for see if anyone out there want to do anything and hang out together and chat while we are avoiding those ridiculous queues and obscene behavior that goes on Christmas Eve in the malls. So if you're there, come in, say hi if you want to. This is unscheduled. I just decided to spin one up for the fun of it. I thought it would be an idea. And for those who are out there who do not manage to come on and join, um, please have a Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, depending on which way you want to see it. I personally, it's Merry Christmas, but a lot of people say Happy Holidays. I hope you have fun. I hope you don't find it too stressful. But if you're out there and you want to come in and chat, I will paste the link. There's someone out there watching, so I'm going to paste the link into the chat, and you can come in and join the conversation if you want to. There is no pressure whatsoever. Hey Matt, how are you? Merry Christmas to you. Come in and join the conversation if you're available. I know you're taking a break from all your 3D printing, so if you want to come in and join, might be a good time right now. Let me see if I can share this out as well. One moment. YouTube, and I'll share out the link on YouTube as well. So can you join, Matt? If you can, click on the link that's there in chat. Come in and join the conversation if you wish. If you don't see it, let me know. I can get it to you again. Just give me my. No sign of Matt yet. He's probably shopping, maybe. So this I'm going to share this link out to a few groups on Facebook because we'll try to see if we can get some people coming in. Check if anyone's there. Oh, there you are. Hey, Matt, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
How is your Christmas Eve going so far?
As best I can alone, So
COVID is making it really weird.
I know, it does.
Let me increase your volume because your audio is low. Try now.
Thank you. Can you hear me some lights on?
Sorry?
The side
Your audio is very low.
Change over to different.
Yeah, change headset because it's very low, the audio. Doesn't seem to be anybody watching right now. I'm just going to share it out to a few groups. Let's see, share.
All right.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
That's much better. Yeah. Just let me
Okay,
share
good.
this out. I'm going to share this out to a few groups.
How you been spending Christmas so far?
Right now, it's kind of been. I've been working up until now.
Oh wow. Wow. In Germany, we actually
So,
have today our Christmas, so we are unpacking our presents tonight. Actually, right now.
oh, you do?
So
Oh, okay. Yeah, we do it on Christmas Day.
yeah, I know. Depends where you are in Germany. I mean, certain areas of Germany do it on the 24th. Certain areas do it on the 25th, but most people
Yeah.
do it on the 24th. You know.
Yeah, it varies a lot. I'm just posting out the Hangout to a few places. I just started on a spur of a moment, in case a lot of people, not everybody's, but some people are spared having to run out to the mall today, and it's not often we get the option to to not get involved, get deeply involved in the shopping and stuff. So I thought it'd be
Uh,
great. It'd be a good idea to have a bit of a hangout for anyone who's sitting around at home.
yeah, I've been shopping today, and it was eerily quiet. Actually, there were not
Really?
many people. Yeah, I mean, yesterday was pretty busy, and the day before, but today, I mean, it was like less than normal.
Hmm.
So I was surprised. I mean, I went early by around about 10 o'clock, but normally by then, Christmas on the 24th is always packed by 8 o'clock, you know. So last year it was packed by 8 o'clock. I normally go around about 7 o'clock in the morning, sometimes to Sainsbury's or, you know, other shops. And yeah, it's the best time to go shopping, I think. Nobody's around. You have all
Yeah,
fresh
I
produce
agree with
up
that.
and
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the best time to do the shopping is when people are not around.
yeah. Got my cable finally from China.
Which cable?
For my A30 Pro G-Tech.
What is it? It's just a USB, is it?
It's for the filament detector and the what's it called? The feeding machine, the feeder.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Because
Good
I
luck
had
there.
some
So,
trouble.
Chris. Hey, Chris. How are you?
Hey, Chris.
Hey, non-fam. How's life? Chris went to the grocery store right before lunch, and it was crazy. Well, Matt's just telling us it's the opposite in the UK. He went to the mall, and the place was quiet. Wanted to unalive people. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, that's why I don't like shopping. So come in and join the chat, guys. Daniel, come in and share the link as well with the 3D printing group. Daniel, share the word, spread the word. I was about to do it, but since you're on, you can do it. This is a good time for the guys in Europe because it's their late their afternoon. It's what 6 o'clock there, 6:30.
Yeah, 7 o'clock almost. Well, 6:40.
Yeah, 6:30 there, 7:30 in most of mainland Europe, unless you go really far to the east. So you should come in and join the chat, guys. If you don't have the link, let me know. It is in chat, but if you don't find it, tell me and I will repost it. The frozen tundra. Well, I'm not Shane, but it's pretty cold here. It's not. There's no snow here in Michigan right now, but it's bitter cold out there, and there's a wind blowing that would shave you. You know, the wind is razor sharp.
We
This is not
just
even the worst of our winters yet.
we just hit zero here right now. I
Oh,
just looked on
we
my
left zero behind and moved on to its neighbor.
minus 270.
We had We had rain last night, which is kind of unusual for this time of year. And then this morning there was the rain stopped. The wind came in, which kind of cleared out, dried up most of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a bit of snow, but whatever water was left behind has frozen over now.
Yeah. Be careful driving.
What driving? I don't leave my house often. This is my office.
21. Wow.
Yeah, 3
Yeah,
hours north of you. Yeah, he's probably buried in snow right now. Then
I need to get myself a bigger place.
you need more room for printers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good, and you?
Hey, how are you, Dan?
Good. Lazy day.
Yeah, avoiding them all.
No, dad duty.
No, that's mine are way beyond that age. When they're
Yeah, I wish.
toddlers like what you have all of that to do, right? When they
Yeah,
get
no,
to their mid-teens,
Hold on,
like-
hold on. I got this one watching videos behind me, actually
Hey, guys.
watching you guys. Got those over there, like they're all over the place.
yeah, no, I'm way past that. That my youngest is 14.
Yeah, no, I wish.
Yeah, don't worry. It brings a whole new set of problems. So the problems,
I can imagine.
the problems won't stop; they just change. Oh, you're near Chicago. Oh, okay. It's pretty cold there, I'm sure, but anywhere near Chicago is always windy anyway.
So I got a question for you guys. I need to do an MKS break off for 2020 with the MOSFET. Should I just do it up in 3D Builder, or should I actually go into Fusion and break it down?
So you want to build an offset stand for a MOSFET? A MOSFET doesn't need much. You just need to make sure there's no electrical contact with the framing of the printer, unless you want to enclose it. But I wouldn't enclose it because most MOSFET comes with a heatsink. You want air to pass over that. So unless you're going to mount a fan with it in the enclosure, so it has a vent on both ends, air in on one side and a vent on the other side. But you don't really need much. You just need what MOSFET did you get?
Be honest with you, it has no name on it. It's huge. It came with the FT5. There was a lot. Like, I'm still printing brackets right now, but at the same time, it's like there are so many things, so many wires what need to get redone. One of the rails along the left side is just like lifting off the machine as is. So all that wood, what they used for it, is getting torn off the machine. That's why I asked about the CNC thing, because I need to redo the whole bed as well as the undercarriage for the 2Z motors.
If you want the bed redone, you're better off to bring it into a machine shop and get them to do it on a CNC rather than doing it yourself, because their stuff is 10 times. They take off thousands of a millimeter per layer, and they only shave off what they need to get it perfectly level. You're better off to if you need to reshape a bed, that's the way to do it. Don't do it yourself, because desktop CNCs are fine, but they're not as accurate as a proper machine shop, and they will do a bang up job for you.
Right.
Yeah, and it'll be cheaper for you. You find a guy at a local machine shop that if you know any guys nearby, they do it for you for a fraction of the price that it costs you to buy a CNC machine. And you also have to house that machine and the power for that machine, and you should learn how to use that machine. Pay someone $50 and he'll level it. He'll skim it for you. Same as you would if you're getting your engine block skimmed. Find a machine shop that'll do a good job of it for you.
Right. All of them are closed until the 4th. I got a contact with a couple of them. My family owns a mill up in Georgia, and technically I could use those machines. I would have to change out the end and stuff like that because it's mostly for wood, but
yeah, you just have to put a diamond bit on it, a metal cutting bit on it.
It's just a drive.
And you'd have to oil. You'd have to do it with while you're doing it for metal. You'd have to constantly flow coolant over it as well as you cut it. And you want to be super careful of it because of the base having the heating element. you may want to consider taking it off before you get in the mill, because it might get damaged during the milling process.
Yeah. That's one thing that I would like to learn down the road, but right now it's just with all these rebuilds and the move, what's happening with my office and stuff like that. I just want to get through the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Non-fam said it's 5 degrees centigrade in Quebec and it's raining and everything is melting. Well, you're so far north there, you probably live in igloos anyway.
Oh,
Come in, non-fam. Come in, join the conversation. You're always in bed or something. Now you're up. You have no excuses.
Yeah, no, Quebec, no. You guys can keep that cold.
Well, we get colder. We get as cold here in winter as they do up there.
It's funny. I was looking at my Facebook earlier to I was looking at my Facebook earlier to look at my cousins and stuff like that and send them messages, and he was showing me all the iguanas on the ground. Just they were picking them up and trying to bring them back to life because South Florida is full of those iguanas, and they were just falling out of trees the past couple nights.
Because it's cold?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like they fall out of the trees and then they come back to life after it warms up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're cold-blooded. Iguanas are cold-blooded.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you and to everybody here. Those of you who weren't here when I opened up, I did wish everyone a Merry Christmas. But yeah, I don't know where you're, Ben, but if you want to come in and join the conversation, there's a link in chat. If you don't see it, let me know. I can repost it. But if you want to come in, this is just a hangout where we talk about stuff. Shane is busy, as you can see, printing.
It's Christmas. Should relax.
Oh, you live in a 3P tent. Oh, okay.
Well, the problem is I haven't done anything in the last few days, so I should.
Can you turn this down, Bubba? Let me take care of one.
I'm working on building out, and I'm building. I've stopped for today and tomorrow, but the day after I'm going to go back to it. I have to build new benches in my basement because I need to sort out my printers. I know I have more coming in, and I need to sort it out to get stuff in a decent situation,
Shane, what are you doing?
Oh, the picture what I've seen online is from your
Hey,
seller.
Carson. Merry
Picture
Christmas
what
to you.
I've seen.
It looks like he's getting ready to do a print.
Yeah, I'm getting my ABS bed sheet all set up.
Central Texas.
Oh.
So you don't know
Talking
what
about
cold is down
Christmas.
there.
How many people do you have online right now
9.
watching the video?
I can see 9 right now on live.
9?
Yeah. Go out and spread the word to the 3D printing group.
If we get 15, I will give away a Corsair huge mat pad for computers. It's I didn't even realize it was upside down. It's an MM200.
All right, then, guys, share it out.
Brand new inbox, all fancy.
Yeah, it's cold here as well. I'm in Michigan, Dominic, so I'm right beside you. I'm just across the pond from you, and it's cold here too. It's been blowing wind all night long, and the wind has died down some bit, but it's still blustery out there, and it's cold. See, I shaved today. It wasn't me. That was the wind. So cold out there.
I don't think I could do it without hair.
It's gotten down to 28 degrees, just below freezing. How did you survive down in Texas?
About 10 minutes, I'll be back with you guys.
Okay.
Right.
How do you survive in Texas when it's 28 degrees? Texas never gets that cold.
They've actually gotten ice storms down there, or everything was just covered in ice for a couple days.
Yeah, it's probably a rarity though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Nevada used to get it too. I had it a couple times when I was living in Las Vegas. We had snow.
I've never seen Vegas with snow, or snow in Vegas. I think it happens in Vegas once every 20 years, maybe. So if
I
you
was
saw
there.
you saw a rare occurrence, because it does get cold there. I've been on the Strip, in Vegas in November, and it's bitter cold, but it's never snowing on it because it's always dry air.
You went to visit Jerry?
No, I was there many years ago. I'm like my work used to take me there on a regular basis too. The job I do, I go down there on a regular basis. I'd go to Vegas and then I do some of the southern states a fair bit, like New Orleans, and I spend a lot of time in Florida also. I don't travel there. I haven't traveled a lot now in some years, but they don't let me out of my cave very often.
Yeah, as the older a person gets, I think there's less travel, maybe.
No, I don't mind travel. Travel doesn't bother me. Before I moved to the US, I used to travel about 80% of my time. I was always on the road.
Yeah, me too. I mean, when I was young, I was traveling all around. I mean, my parents moved to place and got different jobs, and it was. Yeah, it was not nice in some sense. I prefer to stay now to one place,
Well, yeah, but it's different though. You were moved because your family moved. It's for me. I'd get up on Monday morning, or no, on a Wednesday was my day off a lot of times because of the type of work I was doing.
Mhm.
Thursday I'd get on a plane, fly somewhere. Thursday evening and Friday, I'd get prepared for the new IT network migrations to convert networks over to new environments. Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and this is what working 20 hours a day. Sunday into Monday morning, I do the network migration. Monday, everyone comes in with a new network setup, so I'd help everybody get online and so on. Monday evening or the latest Tuesday morning, I'd fly back home where I'd be there for. I go Tuesday. I'd be there. I go into the office. Wednesday, I might go into the office for half a day because Wednesday was really my day off in the whole week. And Thursday, I'd go out and do it all over again. That's what I used to do. I used to be on the road about 80% of my time.
Not fun, I think. I mean, unless you enjoy being on the road, but.
Oh, you were sick with COVID. Well, that sucks.
What?
Ben was sick with COVID. He said himself and his wife have been down for over 2 weeks with COVID. Well, the fact that you're on the upside of it, that's a good sign.
Right. Actually,
Um,
my co-founder, Kieran
Yeah.
had COVID.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, you have to be safe out there, guys.
Yeah. Those masks are no joke. Just wear it. It
Well,
sucks.
I think during the big ramp up from March until June, I made about 8,000 face shields for the hospitals. I mean, and ear protectors to go with them, so they went as sets. About 8,000. I printed and donated them, and I did them all out of PETG because they could be reused. If you do PLA, it's a one-time use. You have to dump it. If you do PETG can go into an autoclave, and an autoclave is the sanitization system that they use in a hospital, but it's warm and it's humid, it's like a steam, so it can actually withstand that heat. That's why I did everything out of PETG. That's when I started buying 2.5 kilo spools of PETG. I always used it before, but I got into buying big spools. Now I don't want to go back. I don't want to buy these 1 kilo spools anymore. They're just a waste for me. But
I agree. And they're better prices when you buy bigger bulk.
it is like out of 2.5 kilo spools, you get half a kilo for free. Out of
Pretty
a
much.
10 kilo spool, you get about 2 kilos free. So you actually do save money by going. But the issue is when you go large, drying them can be a problem. Like
Yeah, I can imagine.
I can dry up to a 5 kilo spool. Anything over that, I would have to change my drying process completely.
Right.
Because I have a food dehydrator, which I printed a mod for it to allow it to take the 2.5 kilo spools. Because it would take the 1 kilos no problem. But if I got a 10 kilo spool or whatever, I'd have to completely change how I do it, or I'd have to re-spool before I use it.
I was gonna say you could just take the 10 kilo and then re-spool it down to 1 kilos and then throw them into your filler dryer.
Well, I only got a filler dryer recently. A buddy of mine gave me his filler dryer because he didn't want it anymore. Because he designed his own filaments, his filament dryers, and he wants to use those. Oh, Lama, you're going to stream? Well, come in and join our conversation, Lama. You're out there. The link is in chat. If you don't see it, let me know. I can post it again for you. But you're always welcome. Who else are we going to give a hard time if you're not here? Lama's good for it. He's fun. So if you want to come in and join it, if you don't see the link in the chat, let me know. I can repost it for you. But hey, I might just do it anyway. Let me copy it and I'll post it out there. Anyone who wants to come in and join the conversation, I can have up to 10 people in the conversation. There's a link.
Even if you're a new printer person, even if you're just hanging out.
Yeah.
Come and join
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah, even if you're new to printing and you have questions or whatever, come in and ask questions. So I post a link out there. And yes, 3D printing Llama. Yeah, happy Christmas to everybody who's here. If you want to come in and join the conversation, I just sent it out to. I just posted it in chat. Click on it. Come in and join the conversation. You don't have to be an experienced printer. You don't have to be experienced. Like if you're not even thinking about buying a printer or whatever, and you manage to come across the stream, come in and join.
All right, so let's talk about burns. How many times have you been burnt on your unit?
Never.
And what were you doing?
Never.
Never. Wow.
I've been hit by a hot
One
nozzle.
time.
You know why? You know why? Never. Because I'm over the age of 8.
Oh.
I know when something's hot.
Well, I got
know,
this guy. I don't know if you guys can see it.
I've never been
That
burned.
guy right there. He's a nozzle. He was polycarbonate, and I ripped off the nozzle. I had it on the last thread, not realizing it, and I put my hand on the plate, and I guess I don't know how I moved the carriage just a little bit, and nozzle fell off, landed perfectly on my hand. It was so hot. It stuck on my hand.
It's gonna be over
I'm like
200 degrees.
whopping it off, trying to get it off, and it stuck there for a good almost minute.
There must have been plastic on it to make it stick to your skin.
I was gonna say the hot plastic will weld to your skin.
Yeah, it must have been plastic. There's a question here. Dominic said he's only had a printer for about 6 months, and he's gotten to the point he might switch from PLA to PETG. Well, PETG is not super tricky to print, right? There's a few nuances. Yeah, it's not. There's a few nuances that you need to understand, right? First of all, PLA likes to be squished onto the bed. Do not do that with PETG. It doesn't like it. So you give yourself a little bit more when you tram your bed. Give a little bit more play when you're tramming your bed.
Buy a quality PETG if you're gonna start.
Yes.
Don't buy. Normally, I would say with PLA, buy cheap Amazon, the cheapest crap you can get, and play. PETG, do not start with cheap crap. Do not, I hate to say it, don't start with recycled either. Make sure you dry it.
Oh, yeah.
Once you learn PETG, it's not hard. It can be tricky. I would say your best bet is don't have any expectations. Buy a good roll of PETG and plan on spending that whole roll playing. Don't expect anything out of that first roll that's usable.
If you're here,
that you won't, but just play.
Yeah,
Spend your time.
if
Don't
you're here in the
expect much.
States, right? I recommend if you have a Menards near you, go to Menards and the bargain shelves down the back of Menards. They often have stuff that they're selling really cheap. And because because it's not hunting season, you often find food dehydrators because people are no longer making jerky out of when they're deer hunting. So you'll get cheap food dehydrators there. I bought mine for $25, and it's perfect. And then That, and then what you do is you get your PETG, stick it in that for about 4 or 5 hours. At about 1:45, let it run for a couple of hours there to dry it out. And then there's a few printer settings you should keep in mind. One, first layer of PETG, print at about 20 millimeters per second, 25 maybe, right? Don't go too fast. Then when you, I even go less. I'd even go 15 for the first layer. Do not when you're laying down when you're doing your tramming of your bed. For PLA, you have a good squish. PETG, you don't want to squish it because it'll stick to your nozzle. So you want it to lie on the bed as it goes down. Do not use fan unless you have overhangs or bridging to do. If you don't have overhangs or bridging, zero fan. Turn off that power cooling fan. The more time the layers have to sit together while warm, while hot, they bond better. PETG really likes to stick, so you give it time to do that. Turn on outer wall wipe to 0.2 millimeters. So what happens is, let's say this is the printed part.
On your nozzle and printer.
It prints the part and it comes over. It actually retracts, moves in, and then moves to the next section. That way, it cleans the nozzle before moving, so you get less stringing. Use combing. So if there is movement, it's going to move over the part, so it's not going to jump from one part to the next and actually have the possibility of strings forming. Use combing so it follows the part around.
That's not always called combing on different slicers. Some of them call it avoid open holes or open spaces.
Okay,
Idea Maker calls it avoid open holes. But yeah, combing works. I use combing on PLA too, just because. It makes the print a little bit longer, but it gets rid of all the stringing that's even if you're close and you don't have that profile perfect. If you use combing, it just comes out gorgeous.
Yep. And also so you have combing, you have outer wall wipe, I normally print at about 130, 135. 230, 235, and 70 bed. Use glue stick if you on your bed. If you do not use glue stick on your bed, you are going to get adhesion so tight that it will actually pull up the glass when you take the part off. Yeah. Get the large glue stick, PVA glue stick like you use for kids' crafts. I use Staples. Here in the US, I buy it in Staples, the big jumbo sticks. They're cheap. When the bed's hot, quick coat of it, and then your PETG is sticking to the glue stick, not the glass, so you won't damage the glass taking it off.
Yeah.
And one other thing, when you do your first layer at about 15 millimeters a second, do the rest about 30, 35 millimeters a second, and slow down your retractions. Do not have fast retractions. Set your retractions to about 25 or 30 millimeters a second retractions, because you must remember PETG is gloopy. If you retract it fast, it's going to take time for it to get sucked back up into the nozzle. If you do a slower retraction, it has a better suction effect and pulls it back to the nozzle cleaner.
Yeah. PETG is just like you said, it's gloopy. It's more like a jello coming out than it is a liquid like PLA.
Yeah. And if you follow those steps, you're at a really good base for getting good quality PETG prints. I print with zero string.
PETG is not as easy as PLA to print.
No, but it's
for the simple fact that you have to get the settings right. Once you get the settings right, I don't care what you're printing.
Yeah.
It's easy once you get the settings.
And those settings I just named to you is about 90% of what you need to tweak to get it right.
I agree.
That's about 90% of the way.
Yeah, and all of those are going to fluctuate depending on your material.
A little bit, yeah.
Some of your Cure users, there is a material button at the top of your bar to kind of give you a start-off point.
Yep. Most of them, almost every slicer has a PETG setting. But you can copy those PETG settings to get a start.
But they don't have outer wall wipe turned on. They don't have the speed settings set right. They don't have the retractions right. They don't have combing enabled. And they're vital parts to get clean prints.
Yep. But they are a good start. You know, they set the temperature. They set the speed slower. They set the retraction slower. You know, they're a good place to start. Every slicer has a generic PETG setting. Just start with that. Like you said, use a lot of those settings, he said. Mm-hmm. And again, those are going to fluctuate. Your temperature is going to fluctuate. Your bed temperature, your combing, your retractions. Those are very atmospheric dependent. If it's like baking, if you're in a high altitude, you're going to have a different temperature for your oven when you're baking than you are in a low altitude. Same with printing, especially PETG. If you're in an extremely humid area, you have to keep it dry. If you're in an extremely dry area, you don't have to give a crap. If you live in Arizona in the middle of the desert, leave your PETG out in the shade, out in the sun for a day, and bring it back in if it hasn't melted into a glob. It's freaking going to be awesome to print.
Well, that's where I'd like to live, in the Arizona desert, and then build an observatory down there for my telescopes.
Well, that's just it. I've discovered that a lot of people go, "Oh, I do this. You're wrong." It's very environmental dependent. 3D printing is extremely environmental dependent.
Right. So I was on a whim. I was at a buddy's house. His PETG was wet as hell. And we ended up taking 3 black garbage bags, throwing the roll in there. And since we live in Florida, we sat it outside for the day.
Yeah.
Came back, it printed beautifully.
Yeah. The problem with that is you're still releasing the humidity into the plastic bag.
Yeah.
It comes out of the plastic or, out of the roll generally. But it's still in that bag. You need to, get rid of
Release it out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why the food dehydrator helps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you get a food dehydrator, definitely make sure it's got a temperature control, because a lot of those cheap ones don't have that temperature
Yeah,
control.
it needs to go up to, for PETG, you need to dry it about 145.
And PLA?
PLA about 120.
If you don't have a dehydrator, you can get weather tight, and you have to make sure it says weather tight. It needs to have the seal and all that. Storage boxes. They're not cheap. They're not expensive. And get one of these things. And all this is the desiccant with a plug-in. So once a month I take it out, I plug it into the wall, it dries it out, you throw it back in the box, boom, it's done. And I've taken 4, 5, 6-year-old rolls of filament that were soaked. Put this in the box with it. A month later, it's like brand new.
I'm surprised that
print's
works
beautiful.
because
Those
those
usually
the desiccant only dehydrates the air. It doesn't
Correct.
dehydrate the filament.
But if you store the filament long term in dry air, it will dry out. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. I've taken filament, PLA. Matter of fact, I still have a roll. It's the very first and only roll of, actually, it's the second roll. I shouldn't say.
Happy holidays, Amanda.
Of glow in the dark. I very seldom use glow in the dark. I've had it for years.
Yeah.
I literally bought it in 90 or 2005.
When dinosaurs were on the earth. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was like one of the first rolls of filament I ever bought. And I still have it. And I could not print with it after 6 months. I bought it at the beginning of summer, all summer long. I didn't know any better. It sat out. I went to print with it. It was popping and steam was coming out of it. And it was literally print. And you could watch it and it'd go, pew! It'd be like a freaking shotgun coming out of it every once in a while as this steam bubble popped out. I was I got to throw that out. Stopped the print, threw it in the box, put one of those in there. A month and a half later, I took it out and said, what the hell, I'll try it. The first 6 inches, when it's really, wet, it snapped. After that, it started flexing like normal.
Yeah, well,
Printed it. As long as I store it in that box, it stays dry.
yeah,
These
an airtight Tupperware container.
It's got to be airtight. And I actually recommend the ISIS ones over the Rubbermaid ones. Even though ISIS makes the Rubbermaid ones, they're exactly the same. They're not. The ISIS ones have a much better seal. Their clips are better. Everything. And the only difference you'll notice when you buy them is the handles are black with the ISIS ones, and the handles are blue with the Rubbermaid ones. Same mold, same everything, but ISIS uses a better seal, and they use a better plastic for the actual seal, the blue clip. That's a Rubbermaid one.
Yeah.
I have both.
Dominic,
They work. It's just the ISIS ones are a little more nicer.
yeah, Dominic, I haven't tried 3D glue because I get amazing prints with glue stick. I don't see the need to. I don't print. 3D glue is great if you do high temperature materials, but for me, 3D glue is an unnecessary expense when glue stick rocks it.
Yeah. For bed, I use glue stick too.
What
But
have you
about
got,
everything now. I just
Oh,
do it automatically.
there's different types of 3D glue. There's stuff that you put on your bed to try and make things stick better, and there's stuff that
Yeah.
you use to glue things
Glue
together.
Yeah.
So you gotta like I don't know if he's talking about stuff for putting it on the bed or gluing them together. If you're wanting to use 3D glue, I would say don't, especially for PLA, and get this good smelling stuff.
I much prefer gloop for small connections. If I got to do a big flat area, the gloop dries too fast and you can't get it on there.
Yeah, because this stuff lasts a lot longer in the tube than the gloop.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The gloop dries up.
Yeah, the gloop kind of starts getting all like you'll be trying to glue something and it'll be dried as it was.
Yeah, well, it'll be like contact cement after a while.
You
pull it out and it'll be a big glob of goopiness.
I find super glue is great.
Depends on what it's put together. PLA super glue is not. I haven't had good luck with PLA stuff, but like PETG and ABS stuff, super glue works really well with it.
Well, I do 95% super PTG anyway. So
yeah,
PLA for me is I might use PLA for testing a design because I'm not expecting it to withstand stress. I always want to make sure it fits.
Yeah.
But if I want something, and I do a lot of actual use parts, practical usage parts. So I don't use PLA for that. I do it all out of PTG.
Yeah, I wouldn't use gloop on the bed, period. It's too much like an adhesive in a
hairspray.
Yeah. People don't realize hairspray is glue stick liquefied. It's basically, there's more stuff to it than that, but it's PVA glue. It's water-based. That's why women shoot it in their hair because you can wash it out later.
But Dominic, the answer would be no.
No, I don't.
You cannot do ASA without an enclosure because it's affected by temperature change. Unless the room temperature there's no drafts, no real air movement. You're going to, and as well as that, printing ASA without an enclosure, while you're printing it, when it goes through your nozzle, it emits dangerous chemicals, and fumes.
Yeah.
And if you inhale them, they're carcinogenic. So you need to do it in an enclosure to stabilize the temperature, and you do not want to be inhaling that stuff because it's going to make you sick.
Yeah. You don't want to be in that room, and you don't want to even go into that room. Same with polycarbonate. Everyone's like, oh, polycarbonate's great. I got polycarbonate. I'll tell you what, I could put it in the other room and just walk in there to go get the part, and it makes my head swim.
Yeah.
Polycarbonate, if it's not vented.
I've done that. Dominic, I've actually used printer resin and a UV light to actually join parts together. And it does work. It's messy, but it does work. You can paint it on. And the more power you have the more wattage you have in the UV light, the better. But I have UV lasers because I do sciencey stuff all the time. So I actually have a laser pen that emits UV light.
Freaking guy has UV lasers, man.
I do. I have a UV laser.
I know you do. That's what's funny. Bastard.
Yeah, I carry around a laser in my pocket all the time, and that's only a green laser. But I have a UV laser. I have lasers that go from 260 nanometers up to 465 nanometers.
Yeah.
Which covers all of the ultraviolet and all this kind of stuff, and the infrared. I have lasers that do that because I do sciencey stuff all the time. I'm a nerd. I can't help it, right? So, and I do outreach for NASA, and as part of that, I show people the cool stuff of science about making materials glow in different colors when it's shot, and lasers changing colors that pass through materials. And the easiest way to do that, you take a UV laser, you pass it through a certain chemical, and you can actually see the laser beam, but you see nothing coming out the other side. So you can actually change its energy because it loses energy when it passes through a certain material as heat.
Yeah, I used to buy that Bondex stuff. I don't know if you ever heard of Bondex UV glue. It was big and famous when, before I knew about 3D printing and UV and all that. That stuff actually works. It's just like $25 for this little bottle. It does come with the stupid little UV pen light that works. I mean, basically all UV glue is the old-fashioned rear view mirror attachment glue. That's what that is.
Yeah.
It's UV glue.
But you can do it with a resin. But if I want to be precise, I can use a UV resin and my UV
Yeah.
laser. That means I can get very precise and right just where I need it, but it's higher intensity. Its output is so much stronger, so it actually cures instantaneously. It's like it's faster than super glue.
I want to try the 3D pens too. I know a lot of
Hey,
people
I
are using that to
I don't
glue each
have
other
one now.
together.
But
I
I've
wanna
used
try
the
one.
welding parts together. You can do that.
It is easy. I did it for one of my helmets. I believe it was
One
one
second.
of the Master Chief helmets. It was all the inner lines and stuff like that was a little bit easier, but then going back through and sanding them out and stuff like that, it adds more to your aftercare than it does to your, printing time.
Well, go ahead, Matt.
Go ahead.
I have a drill bit. What you actually can use. It's rounded. It's like basically like a round ball. You just go over it, and it smooths out the ridges, and it goes really easy. Sanding with the hand takes too long.
Oh man.
One of these, much bigger.
Yeah,
but
one of those.
Yeah.
These are some of my lasers.
You know what works even better, believe it or not? And I saw it just recently and tried it, and it works really well, especially on PLA.
That's
It
a
works on
4 or 5
PETG
nanometer
too.
UV laser.
Look for woodworkers, multi-surface finished scrapers. They're basically just sheet metal, really
with a
hard
burred
sheet
edge.
metal, with a really sharp, like razor blade edge that's burred.
Yeah.
And you just scrape it across the PLA. You could sand a PLA helmet in like 5 minutes with one of those.
Oh,
It'll
dude.
come out like polished. It's
I've used them.
freaking amazing how fast. You just take one of those scrapers, and they're all
You
curly
bend it.
cued, and they come in different shapes and rounds, so you can fin them into corners.
Well, you flex
they work
them
so
and you
much
use
better
them
than
for
sanding.
scraping the metal. They are the wood. So that's a 4 or 5 nanometer laser pen. And this is
Actually-
a 450 nanometer laser.
I'm going to jump off for a little bit. I'm going to jump back on here probably a little bit later. But, gentlemen, I am setting up a new Facebook. So if you see somebody shooting you a friend request, what has my name,
It's
me.
I'll block them.
It's
Oh, so-
Spammer Daniel.
block them? Yeah, block them, Matt.
Block them. Make sure you block them.
All right,
No, Dominic, I don't watch that. Yeah, I was on that stream last night, Jerry. It was a good stream. We gave away obscene stuff last night.
Yeah, I fell asleep about halfway
$7,000
through.
robotic arm. Come on, guys, really?
I fell asleep toward, about halfway through.
Oh, Amanda, where are you based? Are you in Florida or in California? You're probably near Caltech, are you? If you're near JPL.
You know what's funny? All we can do is hear Shane over there shuffling through his
Block 'em all.
crap. We can't see him. We don't know what's going on. All we hear is like,
Yeah.
you know.
What he's actually
shuffling
doing,
through the
he's
crap
off
over
camera. He's off camera and he's got his hand in a drawer and he's shuffling it around to make it sound busy.
there. Yeah, he's just like, I'm busy. People think I'm doing something.
Yeah.
I'm cleaning up the
busy.
mess that I put over here.
I can do that, Shane. Watch.
It's just funny because you're hearing all kinds of like stuff moving around, and
That's what he's doing.
just crap happening, but we can't see a damn thing. You're off camera.
So,
You want to see something messy?
No, that's all
You
right.
need a
We're
helmet
just busting
camera
your
or
chops.
something.
So Amanda, you're in SoCal and you're near Caltech, I assume. I'm guessing you're down in.
That's neat.
I've been there a few times because I do the outreach stuff I do for NASA is with JPL. So I'm associated with JPL. So I do outreach for.
That's what a mess looks like.
Oh, you don't want to see my place then?
You don't want
That's
to see
a
my
mess.
place either.
That's an absolute mess right there in that corner. It's just everything goes in that corner now.
Yeah, everything was on the floor, so I'm like, okay, since everybody's talking, I thought I muted my mic, and
Oh, this crap. Yeah, it was just funny because you're over there. I mean, it wasn't loud or anything. It was just constant shuffling of stuff. And I was like, what the hell is he doing? It was funny.
Yeah, it was kind of fun, but
Show
So
us
what's
the
your-
laser.
What's your next spaceship you're going to print there, Arlene?
Me?
You gotta print another
I'm
one.
waiting. Well, I'm going to do some. I'm probably going to start printing rockets for launch at some point. I'm probably going to get into rocket launches myself, but like it's just really cool when you do an astronomy outreach event, and someone has a rocket that they launch as part of it before it gets dark. But it'd be really cool to actually launch a rocket I'm 3D printed myself. So I might do a bit of that, but I'm waiting for SpaceX to finish their design on the Starship Heavy. I'm waiting because I have a small version of it here, the silver one right here. But I'm waiting for them to finish the full design because when they do, I'm going to print a scale model compared to these of Starship Heavy. My goal would be that, like, because I do a lot of outreach stuff, and I want to do all of the other NASA rockets as well, because I want to be able to set up a cool event of a scale model of a rocket farm when I'm doing astronomy events. So bring them all out, have them all laid out, and kids can walk along and see all the rockets to scale of what they actually are side by side before it gets dark at astronomy events. And then when it gets dark, pack them away and then go to telescopes.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So, Langley Air Force Base, cool. Yeah, Chris. I do outreach with NASA. It's not my job. I'm a volunteer. I'm what we call a solar system ambassador with NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. So I do. And a lot of people do outreach when they talk about the missions and so on. I do a bit of that, but I rather show the science. I'd rather get into the science and because I'm just one of those nerds. I'd rather demo science in a fun way that it's interesting. So I do that kind of stuff.
Maple syrup, make your projects here.
Sorry?
DM, if you have a chance to leave the planet, where would you go?
Just leaving the planet alone would be fantastic, just to see Earth from up there. But if someone, I'll check that out, Jerry. If someone give me a destination, Mars would be cool, but to be on one of the moons around Jupiter would be even cooler.
But isn't the radiation there?
From one of its moons.
I would want to go somewhere where there is oxygen to breathe.
Yeah, me too.
I don't like the idea of running out of air.
we can make that. Hey, Jerry.
What's up, Jerry?
What's up, guys?
Holy,
Ho, ho, ho.
holy
I see you're awake. That was a long day yesterday. I went to bed at 2 a.m. after that live stream last night.
Yeah, it was a while. Jerry's shirt is like overblowing his freaking cameras.
I agree, man.
It's like
Yeah,
seriously
I borrowed a Santa hat. I had some cookies and milk, and I sent Liam the picture. I was going to stream this morning, but I was so burnt out after Joel's stream because Moses kept throwing those codes up. So I sat there for 4 hours and kept scanning chat, waiting, and I missed all of them but the last one. I copied, my paste was like, wow, I got it. And it said applied, but then I had too much junk in my cart because the code was worth $25. It wasn't a $100 code. So I went back to edit the cart. I came back and said 0. So my son said, Dad, you have to check out, otherwise somebody else can use the code. So I lost it.
Yeah.
Jerry, where did you send that picture to?
Astro Printer.
I don't see it in chat.
Facebook, Astro Printer.
Yeah, I don't see it in chat.
Huh.
All
right, let me go back over to
you have my email address, don't you? Just send it to me on email.
Oh, boy.
That would be easier because I don't see it in the conversation. Matt, you're out. Why are you okay? You'll bring it back. Why you win twice, Matt?
Hey.
Oh, one second. Let me remove the old Matt and bring in the new Matt.
All right.
Yeah, you changed machines is what happened. Okay.
No, I didn't change machines.
Oh, it just bombed out on you then, it looks like. Hey, Ron, how are you? And Tim.
I'll be right back.
Hey, guys.
Okay, you sent.
Okay. Let's go to up to.
Oh, ho, ho. Hello, everybody in chat. Hello, everybody on screen. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I wanted a couple printers like everybody else did. It didn't happen, but that was crazy. That was crazy having that many people on there. It's like Joel probably got gray hair and probably had a really bad headache.
Oh, he aged.
That would have been
3,500 people. Come on, Mike.
And that last giveaway, what, a $7,000 robotic arm?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I could put on my Santa hat, have the robot arm here, could give me a cookie and stick it in my mouth, grab my mouth, take a
Let
drink.
me share that. I'm going to share that browser. 1 second.
Oh, let me move this over. I don't like looking at the other monitor.
Actually, before I do that, let me pull this out first. 1 second.
Hey, Daniel, thank you very much. Appreciate everything you've done for me. Thank you.
Hang on, fam.
They can't hear you.
I'm going to share Jerry's
Betty
picture
Boop
from last night.
Yeah, I was going to have that for the picture for my live stream this morning, but I never did it.
That's cool.
I got the cookies. There's no milk in the glass or the Santa cup, but there is cookies, and I was just going to use them as a prop. So as soon as I took the picture, I sat there and ate them all.
Sorry.
Merry Christmas. Got my nog.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Yes, Merry
So
Christmas.
you all managed to get out of mall duty today. Good on you.
Yeah,
Well, there's a holiday coming up.
There's food duty a little later today.
It's a Hallmark Channel make-believe one.
You were
yeah,
correct,
long.
Dominic.
I haven't tried mine yet either. I don't know if you've tried yours yet, but
I dabbled with it.
one of my CR10s is broke down that has a magnet. My other one has glass on it, and I have to do some modifying.
Hi, everybody.
You do know there's a static sheet on top of that too, right?
Oh, a film? I didn't check. Okay.
Don't print on that because it'll stick to it. Put glue stick down.
He said that robotic arm that was given away last night is a nerd's dream.
Yeah.
And I have to admit that it is. I would love to have that thing.
Is that why I have the air bubbles? Is that from the plastic sheet, or is that in between it?
No, it's from the static sheet.
Oh, okay.
There's a static,
It's like,
like all of them. It's got a real thin static sheet on it to protect it.
Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, my sister went by Goodwill, and her and her husband go to Goodwill constantly. And they said, "Hey, Jerry, there's some Nova Maker filament, PLA 175. It's silk sky blue, and I can get it for like $7." I looked it up on Amazon. It's $24. It's like, cool. So she bought me some free filament here.
Nova Maker is actually halfway decent.
I've never heard of Nova Maker, but yeah, it's marked $14, and she got like 30 or 40% off, and then she just gave it to me.
Wow.
She got this little Christmas ornament here. I was gonna give it to my son, but I like it, so I'm gonna keep it. You guys will probably like this.
I like it, so I'm gonna keep it.
It
sounds like me.
Check this out.
Batman.
Oh, Vader.
No,
It's a
that's
Christmas
Vader.
tree ornament that you
Vader.
plug into your lights. So what I'm going to do is stick it on my shelf and see if I can wire it into my lights that I have lit up that light my shelves up. So whenever I live stream, this can be sitting up there.
Cool.
That'd be cool.
It's got a little speaker, so it probably makes noise. But yeah, she got that for. It was marked $2.99, and she got 30% off, and it's brand new.
Oh, wow.
I guess Goodwill's a good place to shop once in a while.
What's so up?
Yeah, if your Goodwill actually gets anything good.
It's already out there. You already wrapped it. Not done.
Did you, Amanda? Did you have dumplings like they do in Asia? On Solstice Day, they have dumplings because after Solstice is the coldest days of winter coming up, so they eat dumplings because they believe that eating dumplings allows you to stay warm throughout the winter. So they eat a lot of dumplings in winter because of the extra fat content, because of the pork and so on in dumplings.
Oh, interesting.
Dumplings are good.
I inadvertently
I like dumplings.
partook then because that's what I had for dinner that night.
They're like fancy raviolis.
Last thing I need is more fat content.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm already insulated for the winter. We got an early Christmas present here. We got a dump of 2 feet of snow the other day.
Cool. Lucky you.
wow.
Yeah, no, and today we're in the mild temperatures today, and the residential streets are just soft as anything, major slush, and it's really easy to get stuck.
Hey guys, this is my baby, 14-year-old.
How you doing?
He's not a baby.
Wave.
How's it going?
What's his name?
Liam.
Oh, Merry Christmas, Liam.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
That was a little too easy, Liam.
Did your dad get you a PS5, Liam?
I really want it though, but no, not yet. They're all sold out.
He just you can't get them, and
I got a new computer.
he's got a
anyway.
brand new gaming PC.
Oh,
Why
cool.
does he need a PS5 when he got a brand new $2,000 gaming PC?
Because it's the cool factor of the PS5. That's why.
I'm his dad. That's as cool as you get. Come on, guys.
Come on, you can get them on eBay for like $5,000.
Yeah, I don't think they're ridiculous, but they're impossible to get. I mean,
Yeah.
They do that every year. They do that as a supply and demand thing. I swear, both Microsoft with the Xbox and Sony with the PS5 deliberately know how many need to go out and like short themselves like half of what they think they're going to sell. That way, there's a supply and demand when they do actually come out, and they can sell twice as many in the long run.
yeah. Hey, Dominic, that's a great use of the robotic arm. Take off the purge line for you. Off your brains. $7,000 to remove a purge line. It's cost about one penny off a $200 printer. That's really, really genius.
That's what Pooch needs it for. Did you see Pooch rant where he was talking about getting it under his fingernail?
Mount it on your shopping cart and go shopping, give it a knife, and have it keep people back 5 feet.
Yes, it does. Liam, too. Well, I'm actually William, but everybody calls me Liam because Liam is the Irish of William. He's actually Liam. So when he was a kid, he used to tell everybody, he'd introduce himself. I'd introduce us, and he'd turn around and say, "But I'm the real Liam." He used to always say,
I'm the real Liam.
His name is Liam.
I'm the real Liam.
He's the real Liam. I'm the fake one, apparently.
Here the import.
For the last 4 years, I've never won nothing online on all these contests, and then a couple months ago, my luck changed. It was cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Now you're getting all the filament.
that wildfire thing, I won a little tiny sample of gloop, and it was a little tiny tube last year. And then on Jim's stream, like a month ago, I won the roll of Coex 3D, and then I won like 2 weeks ago a $25 gift card. And then I got 3 rolls of filament the other day. And yeah, it's like cool. I'm thinking now, here comes Joel's stream. I want a printer, but it didn't happen.
What you mean, Daniel, about that question about for joining groups? You mean about if you click on join groups, it asks you a series of questions? It's just a way of, if that's what you mean, it's just a way of admins identifying people who are not automated bots trying to gain access to the group is all it is.
A lot of times people don't answer them. I just look at their page. If they're a real person and they got information and pictures, I usually let them join. If they have 0 pictures, 0 information, I usually don't. If they just joined Facebook in the last day or 2, I don't let them join either.
Yeah, I don't win these things. I wouldn't win an argument, so I don't bother. I don't win these competitions.
Trolls are real humans. No, they're real. They're just not humans.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why all those questions. And those who haven't joined, I don't know if any of you. I think most of you are already in it. The 3D printer addicts.
Yes.
We're all addicts, right? Let's admit it. We have a problem.
Part of that.
The group is there to help you with the problem and to make it worse, not to talk you out of it. We're not a solution. We're enablers, but it's a new group. It's fun, and it's open right now. I will be closing it at the end of the month. I want to leave it public. There's no spammers in there right now. There's nobody been doing stuff that it shouldn't be. It's been kept pretty clean. We have about 50 members already in the space of a few days. But share it, spread the word. It's open to anyone to join, unless you're there to spam us, and then we'll kick you out.
Oh, you haven't seen my latest post? No, I'm kidding.
If I did, you wouldn't have been there anymore. And you wouldn't. We know you don't do that kind of stuff, right?
I started.
The worst of it is vendors sharing stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I don't mind if they're sharing. I don't mind a vendor sharing a competition because you have a chance to win something. That's okay. But if you're just advertising, I'm not having that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sharing for competition, there's a chance you might come out with something. Like, I'm okay with it. I would actually share them in there myself.
Sure.
But if we're just selling something, no, not welcome. Because it's about the end users, right? It's about us. It's not about the vendor.
Is this going to let me post a link? Or are they going to freak out? I did that years ago, and it's still active. There's like 3,000 members or so, 2,000 members. I booted like 500 people the other day because they were all spammers. But
Yeah,
that's been around forever, and I keep it no advertisement. I do let like designers advertise. There's a couple of kids that design like Christmas ornaments that are spamming it. They're Christmas ornaments. They're not selling them. They're giving them away, so I don't care. But no advertisement unless it's pre-approved. I will allow some like charity advertisement. I will allow new products if they're new. Like originally Carl did the belt printer. I let him advertise in it because it was a new, I'm not letting Creality advertise a freaking, an Ender 3 forever in it.
Well, I like supporting
that kind of thing.
I like supporting the small manufacturers who don't have a big team. Like, Pete, there are reviewers out there that only support really big brand names. I don't like that. Personally, I'm not in favor of that because you're not offering an even field for everyone to play on. Yep. So a lot of the brands that I deal with in most cases are not the really big names. Like JG Maker in China are huge. In Europe, in US, they're not, right? I'm fine working with those guys and other smaller companies. I like to work with the underdog because the underdog deserves the ability to compete. Because the more we have competing, the better opportunity we have of dropping prices of product out there. Mm-hmm. But I don't like the idea of those who only support, they only do Creality and now I will make one exception to that. And the one exception to that is Chuck Hallebuck, because his whole channel is Ender 3, but it's all about making better quality prints for Ender 3. And
it's not about selling the Ender 3.
He doesn't sell the product. He doesn't promote the product in that way. He's all about helping users get better at printing better with it. And that's a different story. So, and he's also local to me. Chuck lives a half an hour away from me. He's here in Michigan, right? But outside of that, I think everyone should be treated equally. I've heard of manufacturers being turned down. Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, Daniel's got a question for Tim, wondering what Tim's screwing with, and I got a question for Tim. That little printer the other day you had on your stream, that is a cool little printer for what, $200?
$199 Canadian, yeah. I think $179 US. And I did that. I bought that myself and did that because there's people out there that can't afford the $300-400 printers.
Yes. Yeah.
And so why not show off a $200 printer and what it can do?
Which one is it?
It's the King Rune 3.
Oh, I did see that.
The little King Rune, yeah.
Another company has one out there called Sapira, it's called. It's Kickstarter right now.
Kickstarter.
Yeah, it's called Sapira. They buy it for $100, but they're going to be selling it for $200. But it has laser engraving head and all that as part of the package.
Nothing on Kickstarter I will promote, period. End of story.
So Daniel was asking about what you're in your hand, that small printer.
No, what I'm doing right now is we're starting to teach our 4.5-year-old the alphabet. So I'm printing out the whole alphabet and
Did you put magnets on it, is it? Magnets on it so they can actually build words?
No, well, not right now. I may eventually, but I'm just right now just printing out the whole alphabet in a couple different colors. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just finished my charity project almost.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah?
Do you drink a lot?
No, why?
Alcohol? I'm just wondering.
That's an odd question.
Because I have PTSD, I do take medication, and it does make me drowsy sometimes. And So if I say something or slur, I'm sorry, you know.
Well, no, your
Nothing I
face
can
is
help
usually
it.
kind of reddish, and you slur a little bit once. I was just wondering if you're in Germany, you got a big old warm beer off screen, and when you duck out from it.
No. Actually, I don't think last time I had it was 3 years ago.
You go, Jerry. That was awesome. Big old stein there. Like, I was like, hey, beer.
Yeah, we German, we drink a lot of beer, I know. But
So there's a designer I know from Germany that's is on my group. I can't think of his name offhand, but he's a vegan and he don't drink alcohol. I go, come on, you're in Germany. You don't eat all the sausage and eat this and eat that and a lot worse. You don't drink and anyway. Okay.
Liam, where are you saying? Yeah. Were you saying yesterday, the day before, you don't drink except for when you go back home, you got to drink so your alcohol content is high enough to let you in the country.
You were there, Jerry, weren't you? And then you were talking about drinking, and I said, I don't drink anymore. I said, I need to drink in the plane every time I go home because otherwise I don't have to bring a passport. I have to do a blood alcohol test to prove I'm Irish. So I need to get my blood alcohol above 50% before they allow me into the country to prove my citizenship.
That's just funny.
So let me show you guys this cool print I did. You guys have all heard of Clock Spring?
Here, let me make you full screen. 1 second.
So this is one of Clock Spring's latest prints that he released to Patreons. And basically, you got the big gold ribbon on top, and it's a geared box, so you pull the top off.
Oh, nice.
Inside, I've got another one of his gift boxes that I did. This is a gift for my fiance, and then inside this, there is
another one.
She's going to open it up to that.
Cool.
Oh, you revealed it. Oh, she doesn't know yet.
You're asking the question?
No, I've already asked the question, but the ring she got initially, there was an issue with it. And it's way too expensive to fix. So I just ended up getting a new ring.
Nice. Does it have layer lines in it?
The ring? I should. Oh, man. I wonder if I can quickly.
That's a good one.
I should quickly 3D print a ring.
Oh, you went out and bought a resin printer to print a new diamond?
I have a resin printer. And I have some silver rhinestones. Or what do you call those things? Yeah, rhinestones.
Cubic zirconian.
It's one of these boxes within a box things I'm doing.
See what they're thinking about you, Tim? What Amanda said?
No. Spoiler alert.
No, she said you took your top off.
Oh. Oh, that's funny. So now I got to pack it up.
Anyway, that's funny. Hopefully she's not watching the stream. Otherwise, she knows she's getting a ring.
Yeah, hopefully she's not watching the stream.
When I buy my wife a lot of jewelry, when I buy my wife jewelry occasionally for holidays, it's usually cheap stuff she likes. It doesn't have to be real inexpensive. If it looks nice, it looks nice. Most movie stars and people that have plenty of money wear fake stuff, and people assume it's real, and it's not.
No, because they're worried about getting robbed.
Yeah.
Well, this is a little Costco ring, and it wasn't that expensive, but I know she'll like it. So,
yeah.
And she doesn't like 3D printing, so there's no way she would be on this stream. But she'll like that.
You can resin print a nice ring, put it in a fancy box, and somebody would never know. They assume by how it's packaged, it's something other than what it is. You don't need to ever tell them.
Until they drop it in the bricks.
I got a 3D print a ring real quick, though.
Okay, actually, do you know what you should do? You should 3D print a ring and put the 3D printed ring in the first box and then bring out the second box and give her that separately.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So you should 3D print a ring for her, and then that's what you give her.
Yeah.
And then
give her
have
a resin printed
in the
ring.
smaller box, have it stuffed away somewhere, and then give her that one separately.
I have time to do that. That's a good idea.
I get them now and again. Not often, but now and again.
It would be really cool.
My wife always wants a purse. I'm like, why do you want another purse? You have how many purses? We don't go anywhere. What's wrong with the one from last year or 2 years ago?
I don't get the purse and the shoe thing.
I mean, we like printers and stuff, and women seem to like clothes and shoes and purses, and I don't get it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We like our toys. They like their toys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a purse isn't a toy.
This is what you need.
Yeah,
They
they're
have
like dressing
toy,
up. They're
Oh,
like
the
Clear
dressing
resin.
up.
I have clear resin at home, but I haven't unboxed my printer yet. And I got to
You
do
know what would be cool? Because
Yeah, ring
would
pop.
be
There
cool
you go.
to keep.
what's that?
It would be cool to clear resin the ring, but then do that water alcohol dye coloring, so it's like colored.
Oh yeah.
So it's one of those that it looks silly because it's plastic, but when it's all done, it'll look cool. So it might be something she still wants to keep, kind of thing.
That would be cool.
Oh,
I'll try that.
Lama, by the way, I think you're using your camera microphone because it sounds like you're 10 feet away from it instead of using your headset.
It might be because it kicked over.
Like what Non-Fam said, if she's happy with the resin version,
No.
she won.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
do that,
very
ain't it?
true. And they're even suggesting do a ring pop.
A ring pop.
Hey, non-fam, do you have a smartphone?
Does he have which?
I was just asking non-fam if he has a smartphone. We talked about this the other day. I just want to see what he says.
Ah,
I thought I had a smartphone until mine reset itself. Now it's a dumb phone until I reset it up again.
Now it's a dumb phone. They're all dumb phones.
It actually reset itself back to factory default on me. I have to reset it up again.
That's a pain.
It's okay. I actually do backups on my phone.
Yeah, me too. All the time.
It's the downside of being an IT nerd. You back up everything.
Yeah, triple sometimes.
Yeah.
Not me.
Well, I back everything up into the cloud.
I
So-
back everything up about twice a
I
year.
always
I have
have
a-
most
I
of my
have
stuff.
a
My
cloud
apps reinstall themselves, and
And I have a hard drive. So
yeah. No, well, I as part of Google, if you have an Android phone, you can back it up to Google Drive.
all right. No, I have an iPhone.
If you've got a bad Apple, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Apple laptops and desktops are great. I think they're mobile devices. I can't stand them.
Here, I just burned this for a Christmas gift that just got done. I got to go clear coat it.
oh, that's nice.
Nice.
Oh, very nice.
I know somebody who'd love that.
Is that for your son?
No. My son's father-in-law.
Nice. That's
Anyway,
really
it's let's see, it's black on white. Yeah, it's a white tile just painted black. I usually take a pencil on the back. I put a small letter, what color it is underneath. Take a white tile, paint it whatever color. Once that dries, paint it black on top. And then it's kind of a pain. Well, anyway, I'm not going to explain it right now, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. Just trial and error to figure out what works and write it down and pin it on the wall so you remember for next time. I'll be right back.
No, that's very nice.
Okay, Liam, I'm gonna go.
Okay.
May have a visitor coming, so
Wow.
it's all right. Yeah.
That's good for you.
That's a big no-no.
Yeah.
Well, no, he's been locked up since March on his own. So
Yeah, if you're
All right,
alone, I
guys.
agree with it.
take care, man.
I know.
Merry Christmas.
I know. Merry Christmas to you all. Bye.
All right, you too.
Oh boy,
Come on, man.
another happy day in paradise.
Here's the Herman Munster the other day.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
that's a nice one too. The Monsters.
Oh, that's
Or
nice.
Frankenstein, is it? That's the
Huh?
Monsters, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Herman Munster.
What do you mean by FD groups, Daniel?
I think that's supposed to be FB, as in Facebook group.
Facebook, yeah.
I think he means FB, but I want to be sure.
Yeah, Daniel, I'm going to be printing a bunch of things and putting them on Etsy.
Definitely stay away from the official 3D printing group unless you want to see what's the best 3D printer for $300 every other post.
Or
Yeah, see, that doesn't bother me as much as the idiots that respond to that. It's like, if that bothers you, you just scroll by.
Well, when it's every other post, it's kind of hard to scroll by it.
Well,
I agree. It does.
Scroll it.
the answer to everything is level your bed. Nobody levels their bed; they tram it first of all. And secondly, it's not the answer to everything.
Yeah, no. And there's so many on there. I mean, I still do it because I post to it every once in a while just because I want people to get reality. But there's so many morons in that group now.
I know. I'm one of them.
One of the things that kind of annoys me.
Hey, Dan, how you doing?
They take they take the question of like what they're asking in the thing, and you can literally put that into Google, and the first results to answer. Like those kind of, it's like, you know, if you spent like the 5 seconds of Googling it, like you probably would have your answer. Like now, if
I understand. I'm kind of anti-Google because every time you Google something, you might get an answer, but it might not be the right answer. So you go to groups like that where people are supposed to be intelligent.
Dan, we'll take 1 second, guys. Dan, come in and join the stream and ask that question face to face.
Go ask Shane that.
Come in, join the stream.
Everybody for the next week, freaking tweet Shane. What's the best printer for $300?
There's very few bad printers. Most printers are okay. Some have little quirks and some don't. And, you know, it's just the way it is.
Come in and join the conversation.
I agree with him that question gets, and a lot of people. What a lot of our understanding is there's a few guys that just do that because it's annoying and they're just douchebags.
But the thing is, like, it just shows that you can't do a little bit of research before posting. Like, you know, you should have, you know, like, do a little bit of troubleshooting. Do like, you know, if you're brand new to it and you don't know what something is doing, and like you take a picture, it's like, I have no idea what's going on here. What is this called? Like, those are the questions I don't mind.
Yeah.
That's actually helping someone. It's not.
Yeah, I have a video I need to publish tonight actually, and it's basically, so you got a new printer, now what? How do you get it to the point where it starts printing? You know.
Yeah.
So I need to put that together and get it out tonight if I can, so people can. I don't know if anyone will even hit it, but you never know. Christmas morning, people get printers.
When I bought my first printer 4 years ago, a CR10, I looked at the manual, I put it together, it printed perfect. I had no issues whatsoever. So a lot of people that have issues, I totally don't get it because it usually just reads instructions. It's usually no big deal. But while it was coming from China, I got on groups and I read information. So I filled my head full of some knowledge before I got it. And then, you know, I've done this kind of thing my whole life anyway. I'm good with doing things. So I don't know. Like Lama, you work construction, I work construction. You two can probably pretty much do anything. You just
mechanical
get it done and then you repeat it.
Yeah, the mechanical stuff is easy, but
exactly.
The one thing I found with like any of the Creality printers, you'll get 100 people saying the Creality printers are awesome, and you'll get 100 people saying they're crap, never worked right, because there's 100 of them made that are just fine, and there's 100 of them made that are crap, because there's literally no true like assembly quality control on them. So
take care, Dan.
You could buy 100 of them, and I guarantee you half of them will be total pieces of garbage, and half of them will be fun. That's the problem. Look, the super cheapos.
Anyone who buys something without doing research, they're kind of wasting their time. Let's be honest. And a lot of people do not do any research in advance. And the moment you don't do research in advance, you're asking for a world of pain.
Yeah.
You do a bit of research, you get on the communities in advance, you talk with people, you go to YouTube, you learn about how stuff is done, the basics of how stuff is done. You can hit the ground running and be a rock star at printing. If you don't do that, you're asking for trouble.
There's YouTube's a problem too, because when I first started, I bought an M3D Micro, which is the biggest freaking mistake I ever made in my life. Other than I'm a stubborn bastard and don't give up, so I learned a lot because of it. But the thing's an absolute, and I studied for like 6 months while that whole thing was in Kickstarter. It was in Kickstarter for 6 months, and then I bought it when it came out of Kickstarter. And everyone's like, "Oh, it's a great printer! It's a great printer! It's awesome! It's $400," which was cheap back then, you know, for this little thing. And you plug it in, it just works. Yeah, no, it don't. And that was all BS because, you know, M3D just handed them out to reviewers who just, you know, said whatever, you know, print 2 or 3 things on it, go, "Oh yeah, it's great." And yeah, YouTube is hard to say go research something on YouTube for a new product because there's just way too many influencers that just say, yeah, it's good because they got it for free.
Well, that's
what
why
they all do.
That's why you get a quote
with that too.
Yeah.
What's that?
Like when you get something done on your house, you get quotes from more than one person. At least 3 different if you're looking at YouTube, look at least 3 different reviewers on YouTube.
Yeah,
I done a film
hard.
review for a certain company, and I actually thought the PLA pretty much sucked because I had nothing but problem after problem with different prints. So at the end of my live stream, I didn't recommend it. I said, hey, here's what I did. I'll leave it up to you guys. What do you think? That's how I ended it. So I didn't say good or bad. I just left it open to, you seen what I printed, what do you think? So, but I have to go eat lunch and do some stuff and go do Christmas Eve later. But you guys have a very Merry Christmas. Everybody in chat, take care, and I'll see you in a couple days or something.
All right, take care,
Jerry. Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. But I did a review with 3D printing professor. You all know him, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he actually sent me a printer that he wanted me to review for him because he didn't have time to do it, and he's actually putting that together now. So it's going to be published in the next few days. But I called out a whole pile of things that I would change on the printer. I didn't say I like no heated a heated bed without insulation. That's stupid. Those heavy plastic tubings that are split for wire covering, not the flexible ones, the mesh.
I actually probably have some sitting around here.
Yeah, they're like a conduit that's split in half. You don't
mean
put
this stuff
for the cabling. Come on, it's terrible.
No way, this stuff's awesome.
What's terrible about it?
What's terrible about it? It works. It's easy to
for that
put the wire
purpose. Yes, but for the cables coming from the control box to the printer, it's impossible to manage.
Why? I have no problems. That's what's great about it. You split it up and you slide it in. You're done.
It was terrible.
No way. It's awesome.
And their cooling fan was
wire
terrible
around
on the
is
printer,
a
and they
pain
called
in
it all
the
out.
Oh.
So
I will take this over wrap any day of the week.
No, I liked the mesh. The mesh covering is really, really good.
The problem with the mesh is you got to slide it in. It's a pain in the butt. If it don't split in half, with that you just slide it in and you're done. It just splits open and you just push it in. I actually got a little tool that makes it even easier. There's nothing faster. There's nothing better. There's nothing that actually protects your wires better than this. There's a reason the automotive factories use this.
It makes sense. But for what they were using it for, I don't agree with.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's an application issue more so than anything.
Yeah, I don't like the stiff covering because you can't tidy cables. It's hard to cable manage. When that stuff gets kinked, it's all twisted up and it's hard. You have to redo it all again because it's hard to manage. So.
See, I find it easier to manage in there.
I find it the other way around personally. So and their cooling fan was a standard 20 millimeter, 20 by 20 cooling fan.
Yeah.
With a duct underneath it. Not a proper cooling fan to force the air out of a small area to cool apart.
Do you ever hold your hand up behind one of those where it's actually supposed to be sucking air and you can feel the air like flowing around the blades and back out and away? Yeah. It's like, wait a minute, the air's going the wrong direction.
Yeah, this was that. This was like that. Hold on one second, guys. I need to refresh.
I've done that. No, I'm sorry. This is by and far the best cable management material you can get.
For that application?
Yeah.
I do agree because the other stuff that doesn't have enough I got to put a few more zip ties on mine because it likes to pop out. But for that kind of stuff, yeah. But I think if I'm understanding what he's talking about, like going underneath the printer and all that stuff, like.
See, I still prefer it because it protects it. It's got some rigidity, so it protects it from flex. Like that printer, it's covered in it too. And I've got wires going underneath the printer that are protected. So if I pick up the printer and I move it around, I'm not ripping the wires out.
Yeah. I kind of want to see what how they are doing it because there might be something very specific to that printer that's
if it's inside the box, I agree. There's no need for it inside
they were set up like the CR10 with the airplane connectors on the outside to the external box.
Oh,
Yeah, see
Those cables going on the outside were in that hard plastic. They're impossible to manage. You can't organize them in that.
See, they're good for the protection end of it, but you're right. The whole external box, I used to love it, and then I thought about it more and more and more. That used to have an external box. You mount everything together. That whole external box thing is more of a pain in the ass than it's worth.
Yeah.
The mesh sleeving for something like that for an external box. That's
if it's
you got so many cables coming in. That's
yeah. If it's done
that's
correctly,
why I had a
this
problem
is
with it.
by and far the
their
best.
cooling fan though was terrible.
Yep.
2020 standard fan like you have in the front of a heat break.
Yeah, that's
just mounted on its side, and underneath it there was a duct that came down like a scoop underneath.
Yeah, a lot of the cheapos do that because they know you're going to redo it eventually.
But the cost to make the bracket L-shaped, to mount the fan, and to print that duct is the same as buying a proper fan that you just screw on the side.
Yep. What printer was it? If you don't
the LK1.
Oh, the longers. There's been a lot of problem with longers. Isn't that the one that?
Fine. It had a bit of over extrusion, and that's easy to fix.
Yeah.
And I don't like the way their belt was mounted and held on with zip ties. I'm not a big fan of that. I like the way Corelli do with a proper connector, but it works. It was a bit long. I had to trim it off, or else it wouldn't home. We tried to home it, actually ran over, and the double belt, one on top of the other, would not allow it to home. But that was an easy fix with level cutters. But
that's just it. See, that's the kind of stuff that annoys me. Not that they use the zip ties, but that they left it so long that you can't home it. That someone like me or you go, okay, it's a little too long.
We look at
someone brand new who's likely to buy something like that. They're going to be like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah,
that's the quality control, and it's such.
I called all of that out.
Stupid little thing.
I called all of that out because there's a few things I didn't like about the design. But come on, the basics. Who does a heated bed that does not insulate it? Like on a beta machine, fine. On a production machine, that's stupid.
Most of them aren't insulated. They should be, but
they should be because you want the heat to go up, not to be blown away by the air moving around the room.
Most people don't insulate the bed. I agree with you. They should be. I think it should become more of a standard.
Most of them do it. Every other printer I have is insulated. Every other printer I have has an insulated bed.
Not one Creality one's insulated I know of. None
My Creality is insulated. I have two Crealities and they're both insulated. The CR10 Mini,
the under the bed is insulated.
And the Ender 5 Plus is all insulated. Yep.
Yeah, mine's insulated too.
Is it really? I did not know that.
Standard.
None of mine have been insulated.
This one's
it's standard. A lot of printers do it now, especially the name brands. All of my JG makers are all insulated. My Sorbol is an insulated bed.
Scam likely.
You just go, hey Scam, how are you?
Hey scammer.
Okay, Liam.
I keep those guys on the phone because the longer they're on the phone, it actually eats. They can only make money. They only make money within a certain amount of time, and if it goes beyond that, they actually start losing money. So a buddy of mine does a really good Indian accent, and what he does is he gets him on the phone. And he follows along as if he's going through and listening to their sales pitch, and at the end of it he'll go, and sorry, what are you doing again? And he starts them all over again, and he keeps them on there for about an hour. He does it over dinner when he's having his dinner, because his family have a laugh out of this. He keeps the phone beside him and he puts it on speakerphone, and they have a giggle over during dinner because he's keeping these guys on the phone up for hours.
You ever watch that guy that did the Tech Talk one? Where he like fed the scammer and kept him going for days and days and days, kept responding like, "Where's my toaster? If I get this bank account, I want my free toaster."
I've done the guys who
that guy's funny.
Support. I have a setup because I have a couple of servers at home, and I do the guys for technical support, and I send them to a virtual machine that I have, isolated virtual machine, and I put him on that, and then while he's on that, I go in and delete his files because they always use TeamViewer. And TeamViewer allows two-way communicate and link up. So I always go in and I wipe out their files on their hard drives.
That's mean.
Okay.
Oh,
look,
wait,
Mark,
you deserve it.
Oh, you 3D printed one.
I 3D printed a kitty cat ring, size 8. So I'm gonna do your plan, and if I'm divorced after Christmas, I'm gonna blame you. No, but I'm gonna do it.
Just record the stream so she'll know.
Yeah.
I'll hide
These guys.
I'll hide a camera.
3D print a diamond, a shape of a diamond,
Yeah.
and then if you have red resin, use red resin, and then make it look like a sapphire on top and glue it on.
Glue a sapphire. Okay, let me see what I can find.
Yeah, if you had red, or you could, you could do a translucent FDM print as well. But
Well,
you could have red resin.
I have red right there. Not red.
To do it, make it look like a ruby, and then stick it on top, so it actually looks like
he's
a.
talking about doing like a resin print.
Oh yeah, I have my resin's still in its box, and and it's at home. I don't have a resin printer here.
Yeah, I give those guys a hard time all the time. I like deleting their data, and you see the guys on YouTube that actually record that.
Yeah.
But what I do is, and I've even shut down their network. One of the guys I went on to, they had a network switch because there was a group of guys working there, and I found out the IP address of their network switch, on his computer, and has set the default Cisco password. So I logged into it and I put a password on all of the ports, and I changed the super user password on the switch, and then I set all the ports to 10 megabit half duplex, and then I disabled all their management ports so they couldn't get into the switch.
That would be awesome. I would love to see those guys.
Oh, I've done it to these guys. I don't do it like these guys. There's other guys out there who do it all the time. But I do it and it's fun. It's because they're stealing from people. So if we can slow them down, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been getting these auto scam ones, and it's like, oh, I just bought this 1969 Plymouth Scamp. Is that what you're talking about? It's just a really old car. I try to keep on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a 1979 Pinto. Are you covering that?
I have a Ford Model T. Will you cover that also?
They probably would cover that.
It's still
I have a Gremlin.
Yeah.
There's a hole in the floor. Is that covered?
If my 3D printer sets my house on fire, is that covered?
I left my Pacer out in the sun too long and the windows all popped out. Is that covered? You ever seen that? That was like a big thing. Do you guys remember the Pacer? Are you old enough? Do you remember the Pacer?
No.
Yeah, I know all about it.
We used to call it the fishbowl back in the 70s. It was it was like a Pinto. You know what a Pinto is, right?
No.
It was very similar to the Pinto. Yeah, it was the first compact car. It was the first in that group. But it was all glass. And they were all rounded. It was very spaceshipy looking. And it was ugly as sin. But it was a cheap compact car. The problem was there's so much glass in it. Mm-hmm. And it actually had halfway decent seals that if you left it out in the sun, it had a black interior, it would heat up and pressurize, and it would literally pop the windows out.
No, well, when did the Pinto come out?
It was around the same time.
Pinto was before the Pacer.
What year?
Pinto was probably 69, 70, 71.
That was 69, 70.
But it went all the way into the
my
80s.
time.
Well, the Pinto went all the way into the 80s.
Yeah, but they didn't sell them in Europe.
Yeah.
It was infamous in the 1970s, and then Pacer is 1970, so about the same time.
Oh, Pacer was 70? I thought it was later than that.
Yeah, it was 70. It looks like 75 to 78.
Yeah, I was just saying. I knew it was the 70s, but it was late 70s. The Pinto was early 70s.
I know how to build a house, Amanda. I don't know anything about engines. I learned construction because my dad was in construction. I know nothing about car engines. He always had someone do it because that wasn't his thing. But he'd build a house.
Drag cars, so.
He'd do anything else. He was a carpenter.
I did carpentry, but I did drag cars. But we had What's up,
I'm
Dave?
enjoying the conversation. Merry Christmas to you too.
There used to be a drag strip like 20 minutes up the road from here, up in the backwoods. It was like this little known, and it was actually part of the national drag.
NHRA.
Yeah, but it was tiny. They only went there like once a year, but we all go there on the weekends and crap. It was funny because they only raced on Sunday there, and we'd all build our cars, which were not street legal. And back then, 70s, early 80s, 60s, 70s, and early 80s, we used to drive them. And as long as we had from midnight Saturday night till midnight Sunday night to drive those on the road, and the cops would not pull you over. As long as you were being responsible and not an idiot. So you used to drive a freaking car down the road, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning, with no exhaust on it, and a cop would pull up behind you, hit his lights, and then just pull over and let you go. Wouldn't even just like, I know you're doing it. One of those. Have a nice day. Half the cops would show up and watch the drag races, but it was funny that you had that 24 hours once a week that you could drive just about anything on the road, and they wouldn't bother you as long as you were headed toward Colchester.
Nice.
Not no more.
No. But
those freedoms are long gone now.
How's business for you, Dave? Or Tim?
Perfect.
Me? Not bad. I've got. I was supposed to take next week off, but I got a bunch of purchase orders in from my landlord that I got to come in and do. So we're having one of our better Decembers, and I thought it was going to be one of our worst. So,
well, that's good.
Fortunately, it's been pretty good. Can't complain.
Well, what were the cars in Mad Max there?
They would have been Australian cars.
Yeah, but they were actually a mix of the Ford Pinto and the Ford Mustang.
They were badass.
Yeah, they're actually Fords, even though they named it something else. They were owned by Ford, and it was like a half mix of the Pinto and the Mustang or something. I don't know exactly. But that's what they were. They were like a Pinto frame with a Mustang engine in them, which is why they were awesome. Those things are still worth money, and they're still wicked fast because they were wicked light with big motors in them. They were actually lighter than the original Mustangs.
Well, by the way, guys, those that are not in the chat, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, hit the thumbs up. The thumbs up actually helps promote the channel, so please smash that thumb. It's good for the channel.
Falcons were made in the U.S. Okay, I had a Falcon.
Little Red Ruby printing.
The Falcon it's kind of like their popular car over there. It's the Falcon over there is something different than what it was here, I believe. It was a smaller car there.
Yeah, the Falcons were all like, those were 60s. And because I had a 66 Ford station wagon Falcon. '66, '69.
Yeah, because they still make the Falcon over there. 2016.
Because the Falcons and the Nomads, the Chevy Nomad station wagons, were big drag cars. I don't know why people loved dragging station wagons back then, but they did. But the Ford Falcon, they always used to chop the top of it off and drop it down. You get that little squat windshield.
Hey, Tim, did you see that message from Dan?
Oh, no, didn't see that.
He said he sent you a message on Twitter.
Let me go check Twitter out.
On the twits.
But, yeah, I've never been into cars. I've always been a tech person, so.
I was big into cars when I was.
No, for me, a car got me from A to B. That was it. I wasn't into. I don't know an awful lot about engines. Now, you give me a computer, and I can make it do whatever you want. Or anything. You give me electronics, I can do great things with electronics, and that's why I'm big into using Raspberry Pis and stuff, right? Because I like electronics and I like maker stuff like that. But never got into cars. If I have a problem with my car, I'll look at it. I might figure it out. YouTube is my friend if I have a car problem, or if not, it goes back to the dealer to get it repaired.
Yeah. When I was a kid, now we're talking 70s,
Hey, Dave.
early 70s, like Petzel. He's about my age. Actually, I think he's older than I am. When I was a kid, if your car couldn't do a wheelie, it was a piece of crap. It needed to be able to do a wheelie. If you punched it and them front tires didn't come off the ground, not a good car. Didn't care about it going around corners as long as it went fast, straight in line.
A hand crank?
Yeah, hand cranks.
Wow. The last hand crank car I saw was the F-150 at the Henry Ford Museum.
Yeah. I didn't know was the Morris hand crank? I didn't know it was a hand crank. I thought that was right around when they started doing the electric starters.
Can you guys hear me?
So what are you up to, Dave?
We can now.
My audio is okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, cool.
It's a little hollow, but you're in a big room.
Yeah.
Dave is busy again. He's always at that workbench.
Yeah. I had a whole bunch of orders for these new feeders, so I've been printing and putting them together, and yeah.
You missed Jerry. He said he got your bed from you today.
Who did?
Jerry. 3D printing and painting.
Oh,
Jerry.
Yeah. He told me he got the bed a while back, but he just hasn't.
He just showed it to me today. It's. He was like, "Oh, it's got all these air bubbles in it." I'm like, "Yeah, there's like a plastic safety covering on it." He's like, "Oh, is that what that is?" I'm like, "Yeah."
No. He thinks he could use it without the magnetic bed, but it'll never work.
No, it'll pull up.
It tapes it down.
It'll warp
That's
on
the
its
purpose
own.
of having it. So
Yeah, it's got to warp up in the middle.
Yeah.
What ends up happening with them?
Yep.
Especially with the light.
I even tried with really heavy polycarbonate, and even heavy polycarbonate, 1/8 inch, 3/16, it all pulls up in the center.
Yeah. It actually gets worse the thicker the poly gets. Like I said, when I was playing with Lexan, that's what I always get the edge curl when I was using the Lexan. This is why I stopped using it. You just couldn't do anything with it.
yeah. Well, as I said, I mostly use glass beds.
Yeah.
I
Come out
love
of the
that.
frickin' Arctic age.
Sorry,
you gotta come into the modern times with the rest of us. Frickin' spaceman still back in the caveman days.
No,
3D printing.
I get perfect prints. I can't knock it, right?
No.
If it works and it works perfect.
You know what? I play with glass, and when it worked really well. I had a lot of issues with it, more because of weight. Back then, I was all bed slingers, and the weight of the glass is it caused more issues than it was worth.
Well, all my
My biggest problem with it. My biggest problem with it is having been in the glass business for so many years, it's so dangerous. If you try to take it off and you break that and you run your hand into the edge of the glass, it's just scary to me.
Whatever. If it works for him, it works for him. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not. There's
nothing
better
wrong
methods
with it.
Well, I have.
It's a flat surface.
Like I have an RSD coming, and that has a flex steel bed. That'd be my first flex steel.
Because the only thing worse than glass for me would be those stupid Creality, like the double stupid car magnet, where the bed is actually just another stupid car magnet. I'm like, that is not a flex bed. That's just stupid.
Yeah, because once you start getting a tall print, it actually starts wobbling. Like it'll actually pull the magnet up.
Yeah.
Or I
God,
like the PVC beds.
You turn the heat out, it starts warping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, the magnets lose their freaking magnetism at like 60 degrees on your bed with those things.
It's actually, it's hotter than that.
It's
Not
a lot.
with the,
It's a
not
lot
with the
hotter than
reality
that.
one.
Yeah, the
Reality
Creality
one
they're really
is low temperature.
The magnets that I use are good for 200 degrees
Yeah.
C.
Oh, so are mine. I'm just saying the ones Creality uses, where they're using two magnets. They use a flex magnet on the bottom and the magnet on top, and it's just wimpy magnets. And those things start losing, their magnetism about 60, 70 C.
Yeah, that's called the Curie effect.
Yeah, it's kind of like these style of magnets. It's like the really
yeah.
They are fridge magnets. That's
that's
really
called
are.
the Curie effect, is what it is, and it's the heat affects the alignment of the molecules because they get so warm they start moving. Because heat is basically moving molecules.
I just saw that
when they move, the magnetism is no longer the same because magnetism is based on all the molecules being aligned the same way. That's what creates a magnetic field. And as they get warm, the molecules move, and as they move, they are no longer pointed in the same direction, and therefore the magnetism decreases. It loses adhesion. Sorry, I got nerdy for a moment.
Mr. Spaceman got a little nerdy.
See ya, Dad.
All right. It's your channel. You're allowed.
Well,
we like listening to you.
That's who I am, okay? I'm a
no,
nerd.
I'm just picking on you, dude. Actually,
I know.
It's kind of cool that, you actually have an answer for why it doesn't work. I just know it doesn't work.
Well, I can explain the answer to that. I can also explain to you how the molecules inside how the sun actually operates, how the fusion in the sun operates too, if you want. But that's going on a big long segue.
If anyone in chat's wondering what we were talking about with the beds, this is Mr. Petzel down there. Dave makes these. He's been handing them out for samples to some of us to try that are interested in it, and it's a little bit different surface. And no, I haven't used it, but that one time I screwed it up.
So another reason
I am gonna this weekend.
Another reason that the magnets lose their magnetism, it's not so much they lose their magnetism, but the vehicle that they put them in is that rubbery sheet, and with the extra heat, the rubber starts to break down, and so it forms actually lumps in it, just microscopic lumps, and that forces the plate away from the magnet itself. The magnet doesn't have much draw past a couple of millimeters, Yeah. So I got the whole rundown when I started to buy from this new company that I buy the magnets from. So, and they did some testing for me. They actually got it so that the bed would hold temperature at a higher rate, but they had to take the white vinyl off. There's a vinyl coating that goes on those magnets. So if you ever look at it for printing, and so they actually, when they manufacture them, they leave that vinyl coating off of it for me, and then I adhere it that way.
And then there's the llama scientific answer, which is it's cheap crap. Don't buy cheap crap.
Here, speaking of magnets,
and that's a good answer.
Speaking of magnets, did you know that what you're like? Everybody but Dave is sitting down, right? But Dave is standing on the floor. Did you know you're actually not touching the chair?
No, my pants are.
No, they're not either. Nothing is touching the other thing. Because at a science again, nerd time.
Disagree.
Nerd time. Your body the molecules in your body have like the atom has got electrons, so it's got a magnetic field, right? That's a weak magnetic force, and the chair has a weak magnetic force. So when the two things come together, they actually don't touch. They actually hover minuscule distance apart from each other, but they actually never come in contact. They actually push away from each other, so they never actually touch. So you're actually not sitting down; you're levitating.
So when you touch that hot nozzle, you're
So
not,
how do you
you're
get-
burned. You're
how do
just
you-
floating in the air above the hot air.
No, you're close enough for the heat to come across and burn your skin. You're actually not touching the nozzle. You're actually about a billionth of about
How
a
do you
billionth of a
get
millimeter away
friction?
from it.
So you could basically be just not fun at parties. Be like, yeah, you're not actually touching that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like want to see me levitate and then just sit down.
Yeah.
And you're basically correct. It's weird thing, if you
That's
actually are
actually really good.
Just make sure you're
That
having
was
two
awesome.
drinks while you say that.
Watch me levitate.
But yeah, a lot of people don't realize that. Now
Watch
that
this
that-
fat man
perfect.
levitate.
that's perfect.
There's
That
the
is
red
awesome.
ruby.
Yeah,
There we go.
so
That
that's
is
what
awesome.
you give her. Now that's
Yeah.
perfect.
She's gonna be pissed off
You
and
guys
happy
don't-
all at the same time.
You guys don't realize that less than a half hour from me is Maharishi University, and that's where all the levitators are on the whole planet.
All the levitators. Sure.
Maharishi University, Pella, Iowa.
You're correct.
It's,
Yes.
They have some bizarre stuff, man. We went down there on a building project, and the guy did his whole house with lead shielding around the perimeter.
What?
Why?
Why?
Yes,
So they're flat earthers.
because of because of the waves that could possibly penetrate the house where he's living.
Weird.
All the top, Penn and Teller, all those guys. I mean, all the top Maharishi, the levitators, the guys. They're
That's
all down
awesome.
here.
That looks good.
That's awesome, Tim.
That looks good. And Dominic, the fact that you're thinking of that worries me.
You know, it's even better, Tim. You're gonna have to bring like one of them pop rings too. It's just like
Yeah, you need to seek treatment.
you gotta have
Dominic,
like
if that's what
8
you think.
different kinds of like candies and
And just have it in a different
rings.
pocket. Just like, oh, that's just nope, it's not that one.
Nope.
Now, so
So-
what you do is you put that in the small box, and then give her the big box, and then inside the big box, put a box inside a box inside a box inside a box.
Well, that's what
where
it
the real
was
ring
doing.
is inside.
You're muted, Tim.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I didn't want to hear. Didn't want all the rattling paper to go through.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be fun.
That's cute.
Gotta glue it better though.
I wonder how flexible PLA is going to stick to that bed. The problem with testing that bed is I'm going to end up damaging it, and I don't want to damage it.
Actually, TPU and PLA stick really nice to it.
PLA, I think, sticks a little too nice to it, if I remember correctly. It's almost like you got to put glue stick on it to keep it from sticking to it.
Well, if you're a good distance away, you should be all right. But does your printer home off the bed or on the bed?
Mine?
Yeah.
Off.
Okay, if it homes off the bed, then you won't be touching it before you start your print.
Right.
If you home on the bed, the nozzle could melt it.
Yep. Well, it still can because I'm right at paper height. I'd still put holes in stuff just by
Yeah, because the heat
proximity
will travel that
damage.
distance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the
so
paper
you
thing.
need that. Having it off the bed when you home is the safest place to put it.
I actually have it off the bed corner wise. I have all of my printers. My bed is over here, and my nozzle home's over here off the corner. And then brings it up and on, and they're all about 10, 15 millimeters outside X and Y for that very reason. Because I dick around with my printers too much. That
I
put
like
too many
to put,
holes in build tack back in the day.
I used to, well, if I have one or two printers, I have the PVC coating, on the beds, which I think is a mistake. It's a PVC top. And what I do with those is I put
Blue tape.
what are they called? Sticky posts on each corner.
Yeah.
Because that way then
the
nozzle's not spending too much time in contact with it. And when I'm doing the leveling, that way then when I move it, while I'm leveling, it's actually not touching the PVC because it will melt that stuff.
I don't level a bed like that anyway, so.
I have one. Actually, the LK1, the longer LK1 has a PVC coating on top of glass.
Yeah.
I don't know why you do that.
I flatten and smooth out and properly tram all my printers.
Yeah.
So I don't ever
Llama?
use an auto bed leveling.
Llama, I have about 30 prints so far that I printed with Idea Maker, and I love it.
Yeah,
dude.
The longer you use it, the more you'll like it. You will find there's a couple of little glitchy things I'm finding with it now and again. The average everyday user will never see it. Like if you ever go and do sequential printing, you're gonna find a problem because all of their printers now use the X gantry style like the Ultimakers do. So when you set the gantry height for sequential printing, it assigns it both X and Y, where most of our printers only have an X bar. So you can print back here, print over here, then move to the forward, and your X doesn't matter. So if it's up above your X back in the back half of the bed, it doesn't matter. Where Idea Maker says, nope, I can't print there because it's going to hit the gantry.
So Idea Maker has a feature that you can turn on cooling on a certain overhang. So you can do it at like 70% overhang, and it turns it on. Unfortunately, it waits till it gets right to the overhang, stops, then turns the fan on and starts to print. So I'm going to ask them if they can change that.
Yeah.
So I got on the forum and asked them if they can change that because it's an incredible feature because the fan only comes on during the time that it's printing that overhang.
Yeah. So any of the bridging or overhangs,
it doesn't force any air.
Yeah.
It doesn't cool off the whole print.
Both Perugia and Cura will do that.
Yeah, Cura can do that today. I know for sure.
Actually, I think Cura implemented that before Idea Maker.
I think they did. Yeah, they've had it a long time.
The difference is like he went to the forums and said, "Hey, can you fix this?" And if they see it as a justifiable thing, which you got to understand, they got to spend time to fix stuff. They'll fix it. I've made 3 requests about Idea Maker over the years, and within the next version, they were all implemented. I just went, this is the reason. And, you get on the forum and a couple other people will be like, yeah, that's a great idea. I wish they had that. Boom. The next version, it'll be part of the program. They're just that quick at listening to their actual user base.
I think what has to happen is I think more and more slicers need to start supporting IDEX as well. Because a lot more companies are starting to head into IDEX. There's at least 2 or 3 out there right now, and there's some of the big manufacturers that they do it heavy manufacturing. They're starting to look at IDEX as well for that. Yeah. So like
they already do IDEX
with IDEX.
Idea Maker will do IDEX already.
Idea Maker has it natively built in, but not a lot of the others don't.
Yeah. Well, they make an IDEX printer, so. But look at the belt printer. There's like, oh, we're going to do a belt printer slicer because all the slicers suck. They said this, 6 weeks ago? They released it today. I mean, granted, it's still a beta, but it's a public release today for the belt printer. And they don't even have a belt printer.
Yes.
I mean, a year and a half ago, everyone started using Idea Maker. I'd already been using it, but it wasn't really my main slicer. But I used it a lot because I liked it better than S3D for supports. But a lot of people said, hey, I'd really like to be able to, use my Delta on this. I would like to have one slicer to do. So a lot of people were using Idea Maker for certain things and then Cura for certain things. And I was too. I was bouncing slicers. And a lot of guys with Delta says, we know you don't have a Delta, but we don't want to bounce slicers. I got to use Cura because I'm using a Delta or Perugia slicer or, slicer back then for this printer. And it's like, we'd like to have one slicer to just do it all. The guys at Idea Maker went, sounds good. They added Delta. They added all the extra printers. Like when I first started using Idea Maker, you took a Raise printer and you edited it. See you, Tim.
You're muted.
You're muted again.
Merry Christmas. I got to run. Wish me luck.
And to
See you later, man.
Take care.
Yeah, Idea Maker. There's no better company. I mean, Ultimaker isn't bad either. If you say something to Kira, they're just so big. You're like way down.
Yeah, and they have a huge long.
They have and they do too. They're pretty good at fixing stuff. I just find the more they fix stuff, the worse they make the app. I'm to the point where I think Kira is like has too much shit. Pardon my French. It just got too much crap.
Yeah.
Cruise Slicer's good. It's just not. I like Idea Maker better.
I like Idea Maker for mechanical parts.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yes.
Really well there.
It gives you a better tool path.
It does.
I'll give you a perfect example on this part right here. You can see how this has it as a radius on it, and that actually fits. You know that fits in here. So typically when you tell it, I print everything. I use a 0.6, and this is all PETG. So I use a 0.6, and I print 3 walls. Well, 3 walls is great, but when it gets to that point, that could really use more walls. So Idea Maker recognizes that, and it actually fills in behind it. So it makes that part stronger in the whole part.
Idea Maker does that natively, but you can do that in Cura by selecting the area, and actually you can go in and do custom. So you can use the feature called what's it called? Support blockers. You can use support blockers to select an area, and you can. It's not only for support blockers. You can change its functionality.
You can do the same thing in Idea Maker and
make it 100% infill.
Yeah, Cruise Slicer and Idea Maker do that.
It's very intuitive.
I agree.
Yeah, it is too intuitive. Like the thin gaps, it'll fill every friggin' gap and then
it sits there and does this all day long too. I hate that.
Yeah. Well, Dominic, you said it's in testing right now in Cura, but you can do it today using support blockers, and by wherever you put the support blockers, you can change the setting. You do a customized support, and you change the setting to be 100% infill, and you can actually change it from just having walls to being infill. So you have that ability. Like I've even used support blockers when you have two separate print heads. You can actually assign sections of the part to a different print head by using support blockers. You just change. Change from being a support blocker to actually adding functionality into your print. So you can do that.
Dave, have you been using the alternating shell numbers?
No.
You should do that. Just automatically, like you're saying you were doing 3 shells. Just type in your shells 3.5.
I saw that. that.
Every other layer, it'll do a 4th shell. So your infill will get printed, and then your shell will lock on top of it, and then your infill, and then your shell, and then your infill, and it locks. And there's literally a structural obvious, like if you got to flex something or breaking it, it's way stronger doing that. Now, Cura actually did that first, called alternating shells. And that's one of the things I went to Idea Maker and said, this is literally the only thing I'm still using Cura for is the alternating shells for my structural prints. And Idea Maker implemented it within like a month and a half. It took them 6 weeks. They said, that's a great idea. We agree with you. Puff, it was in the next version.
So you don't want to use a lot of the defaults. I realized the very first print I did took about 30% longer than I should have. And so then I got down and I drilled down into all the defaults. and it defaults to 10 solid top layers. And it's like, oh my God.
It defaults to quality. There's a lot of, if you read it and you got to really look into it, there's a couple of settings. One of them that I keep turning off is it'll slow down your layers if it's less than a certain amount, which Kieran all of them do. But they default it to like a ridiculously large number.
Yeah.
So like you could have like a big chunk and all of a sudden, you know, you got the thing set at 60, 80 millimeters a second, and all of a sudden it's doing like 20, and you're like, why is this print taking like 20 hours when it should take 2? Because it defaults to quality, not speed.
Yeah, there's a few things. One, you can change that setting because it's the amount time per layer is what it is. The amount of time depends on the layer. What I like to do is, if I'm doing a product I want to completely finish on the outside, I'll slow down my outer wall and do everything else at full speed.
Right.
That's so you get a nice smooth outer wall finish, and you get no ringing because it is the outer layer.
Which none of them, even Cura, doesn't have as many controls for like your layer and your infill and your shell. And I shouldn't even say that. I think Cura has as many settings. They're just not as well laid out, organized, spelled out for you.
Okay,
like,
I need your guys' help. Let me ask you a question. So I run a custom G code for my start code, and my custom G code is working perfect. But I have turned off the raise G code for the extruder, and it still does the home Z, moves out, does the cross, and then it starts my custom G code. Can I turn that off altogether?
Did you edit your actual G code in the start and G code?
Yeah, you can modify the start and G code.
I've already done that. Okay. So it runs.
There's a setting. You're gonna have to show me because I'm gonna have to walk you through it. You actually have to do. There's a section in there. Even though they made that turn off Raise 3D's start code, they have an independent code. There's 2 of them that they use in the beginning and the end. That Raise uses M1001, M1002. M1001 runs their start G code. M1002 shuts the printer down, but it's Raise speak time specific. You need to actually delete those, even though they have that little check mark that says delete the Raise 3D.
I did. I deleted.
I know it doesn't delete that for some reason. It deletes everything else, but the M1001, the M1002 G codes don't get deleted for some reason.
So how can you
know why? You have to go in, and I'll show you. I'll
share your screen, and I'll show you. I'll put it up.
I will. And now I got to remember how to do it because I did it in the beginning. And it's been so long since I've done it. I don't remember exactly. I got to remember how to get into it. Manage templates.
Let me go to full screen. 1 second. I'll make you full screen.
Yeah, I got to remember exactly where it is.
Oh, maximize that screen because we're getting multiple layers.
It's not
because I'm sharing my whole desktop. That's why.
It's under the extruder.
No, it's actually not. It's in the other something.
In the template
codes, post processing. Right here, and I haven't done it in a while. Add, replace target. You want to remove all occurrences of M1001. Okay, boom, done. Add, remove all occurrences of M1002. Boom. Save. That will do it.
Okay, hold on. So, M1001 and M1002?
Yeah. It's a weird spot. You got to go into the actual advanced settings, into your G code.
Is that under template?
No, it's in your actual. That's the only problem. I don't like Idea Maker. You have to do that for each and every one. Like if you built a whole bunch of them now, you got to do it to all of them.
Well, yeah, but why do you have to do it
copying?
All of them? I just
because
copy.
They're all. Well, you can copy and paste, but once you've copied it, once you've copied the template, it doesn't go back to that old template for anything. It just copied it and took all the information. So anything you've copied, like if I were going to do it, I have to do it for all of these profiles again. So one thing I don't like about Idea Maker is they don't have like a universal, say, hey, this setting is universal. All my profiles, I want to have this setting. They don't have that, where like Cura and a lot of those do. But
when you copy, doesn't it save all those settings to the
new?
It
will. If you copy and make a new one after you've added it, it'll copy and be added. But anything you've already made won't have it. You can't go into the original profile that you started from.
Gotcha.
But it's in the G codes, post processing, add. You have to not replace, but you want to remove occurrences of, and it's M1001, M1002 are there too. Which is that stupid check mark when you go into it.
Yes, does nothing.
I have yet to find them omit raise 3D specific G code. No, because there's like 6 other ones that are specific to their machines that are mostly like layer changing and doing like they have like a weird retraction or something on layer change. There's a couple other things that only Raise does for their machines, and some of the preheat commands and stuff like that. And it does get rid of all that. It's just those 2 commands. It's weird. Sometimes I found it got rid of it. Sometimes it don't. But yeah, if it's doing that, because the other thing is just looking there may be a code that is transferred over. Well, I always try from absolute scratch. I very seldom with Idea Maker take a profile and copy it unless it's my profile for that very reason. It is a little.
No, I copy. I copy my own profile. But I've got a Tivo Tornado and I've got a CR10, and the build surfaces are the same, the build size, but there's some things that I do on the CR10. I use some different filaments, or I use something that I have to run cooling on, and it seems to work better on the CR10. So I just copied it over, everything for the PET-G, and it worked fine, except that M1000. And I looked at my G code after I sliced it. I brought it back up and I read the G code, and I don't remember if that was it probably was there.
Yeah. The other thing is some printers need the M92. Is it M92 or G92? The
auto bed leveling.
No, it's the G. Some of them need to have the relative or whatever. What the hell are the two? Some printers work by relative location and some work by absolute location. And they're both Marlin, and it depends on the board or some crap. I don't know the details on it, but some printers need to be in relative mode when they start, and some need to be
G91.
Yeah, 91 and 92, isn't it? Isn't 91 relative and 92?
For positioning, it's 91.
Is that it? Some of them need that in the start code. Some of them don't. It depends on the printer. It's got nothing to do with Raise or any of those. It's just like Cura's profiles and all those automatically know it.
Actually, isn't it 90 and 91?
I don't know. You'd have to look it up. I'm pretty sure it was 90. I thought it was 92.
Yeah, that's for absolute turning on and off absolute positioning.
Yeah. Where some printers work on absolute positioning, some don't. Some work on relative positioning.
And you often
I don't know the difference.
You normally use absolute positioning, especially if you want to do a pause on the job.
Yeah.
And then to return that, you have to turn on absolute positioning first, then initialize the pause, then move the head out of the way so you can do whatever you're doing, and then resume your job so it makes sure it brings it back to the exact same location.
Right, but some printers need absolute positioning before you can even start printing, or else it freaks out and like you put the print in the middle of the bed and it actually prints over in the corner, or prints off the bed platform altogether for some reason or another. Again, I don't know enough about why. That's all super geeky computery crap that way over my head. But I know there's some printers that need that, and that's got nothing to do with the slicer. That's just the way the printer works.
Yeah,
like all the duets need that. They have to be in absolute positioning when they start. if you're using a duet board, it needs to be in absolute positioning before it starts spraying. It defaults to absolute, where most marlin are relative. Once you home it, it's relative off the home position. It's not absolute.
And I think that's like a setting too on that that board as well. 'Cause I remember something with the rail core with that because that's got the duet in it.
Yeah, if you're using RipRap firmware, it automatically just it's part of its startup G code now, I guess, or something. I don't know. That's why
Kieran said his temperature there is 37 degrees. 37 degrees is a sauna.
Yeah. It's 51.
Come here. It's nice. It's cold here.
It's cold here.
It hasn't come above freezing all day.
Oh, the snow's melting. I can actually see dirt again.
We're 12 degrees here.
Oh, you're really cold. You're much colder than we are.
And yesterday we had a blizzard. So it started out at 51 and then it got down to 15. And now it's 12.
23 right now. For us, it's 23 degrees right now. But because of the wind, it feels like 12.
That's funny.
So I know what it's like where you live right now, Dave, because this is what it feels like outside.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's cold, man.
Oh, yeah. I took the dog out earlier on, and I came back, and because I was holding the lead, my thumb was like an icicle. It was frozen.
We were really cold for the last week, and the last 2 or 3 days it's been warming up. Snow's melting. We're getting a southerly storm today, and we're supposed to get 60-mile-an-hour winds tonight and rain. And
we had some of that last night.
50 degrees right now.
No, we had some of that last night. That's why it's cold here. Some of that passed by us. It was really cold. It was really windy last night here as well.
Yeah. We're getting 2 storms, one coming across the country and one coming up the coast, and they're kind of blending together or some crap. I don't know. But we're supposed to be – they're expecting us to lose power tonight.
Where are you based, Kieran?
The barbecue for the meat.
To be that warm? He said it's 41 degrees centigrade.
That's somewhere in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah, or somewhere down by maybe Florida or somewhere, is it? Oh, he's in Australia.
Yeah. I was going to say, the southern hemisphere is in summertime now.
Yeah, it is in summer now, yeah. We
need to straighten out that earth and stop that whole tilting back and forth thing and just, even out the temperature for everybody. Just stop tilting the earth.
It's the tilt of the earth is the reason why, yes.
Yeah.
23.5 degrees tilt.
Yep. And as it wraps around the sun, it changes.
Are you taking into consideration the wobble?
The wobble.
Well, the wobble is very slow, and it's around, and it's also very little because it's around the Polaris. It doesn't move that much. It wobbles a small bit, but it's the 23.5 degrees. The easiest way to think of it is in our summer, right? Actually, in winter, we're closer to the sun than we are in summer.
Yep.
Right? By about 1 million miles. Right? So if the sun is here and then this is Earth, Earth is tilted 23.5 degrees in summer. So the the northern hemisphere is pointing toward the sun. So the sun hits it more directly, heats the ground, and heats up. That's why we have our summer. But we go around the sun to the other side. In our winter, we're actually so that's the summer here. We go around our winter. The northern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun, so the southern hemisphere is towards it. So the sun heats it faster here, and actually kind of doesn't have direct heating of the northern hemisphere, which is why we get our winter.
Yeah. And
spring and fall is 50-50.
Yeah, and it's part of the whole elliptical revolution rotation around.
Well, the ellipse is it varies by about 1 million miles.
Only 1 million miles.
Well, on a cosmic basis,
I know. I'm just
that's nothing.
Only 1 million miles.
Yeah, it's nothing. Like
a little bit. 1 million miles.
We're 93, or sorry, not 1 billion. I mean 1 million miles. So we're 93 million miles from the sun on average. Sometimes we're a little further. Sometimes we're a little less. but it varies by about not a billion, a million miles is what it varies by.
It's still bizarre when you think about the moon is only, 26 miles across or something like that. It's actually not that big, yeah.
The moon is bigger than that.
No, it's like 26 miles radius or diameter, right? It's not that big.
Wrong. That's wrong.
What is it? What's the diameter of the moon? It's not that big when you think about it.
It's almost 2,158 miles.
That's diameter, not radius.
Yeah, you asked for the diameter. Diameter is the width across. The circumference is bigger.
It's not that big.
You're thinking circumference.
Yeah.
No, the circumference is the outer part of a circle. The diameter is from one side of the circle to the other, and the radius is from the center point to the outside. The circumference is huge.
Diameter of the moon
it's just over 2,000 miles.
2,158 miles. Why was I thinking it was only like 26 miles? Where the hell did I get that from?
I don't know.
You're on Saturn, and you're thinking of you're on Jupiter. You're thinking of Io.
Io is. I don't even think Io. I think Io is even bigger than that. I think.
Where the hell? Because I could swear I learned that somewhere.
No, it's.
You learned it on the internet.
Oh no, because that was before the internet.
Oh God, we used to. Yeah, I mean, everything that Liam just said, we learned back in grade school.
Yeah. We actually had to open these things. They had paper in them, and there was writing on it, and they were called books.
Yep. When I went to school, we didn't have internet until like 2004. So
I can still remember the original. Remember those old original? Now I can't even remember the actual name of them. They were purple, and you get them in school, and you used to sniff them because they smelled really good. The old photocopies. No, it was what the hell was the name of it, Dave? Didn't you do that? Where the
purple?
Yeah, it was a photocopy, but not a photocopy. It was
like
purple.
A mimeograph.
No.
Yeah. You have a carbon paper.
No, this was like a purple. You stick it in, and it came out wet at first. Yeah.
Yes, they were mimeograph.
Yeah, maybe that's it. And it had like a purplish tint to it, but it always had like this chemical on it. And everyone would get their sheet, and you'd be like, it just had this really bizarre chemical sweet smell.
Kieran got it right.
What's that?
Kieran, look at his comment down below.
What did he say? Slate bath. Yep, slate. Chalk.
Well, mimeograph was before my time.
Is that what it was?
Oh yeah.
That doesn't sound right. There was a name for this, like purple.
Man, I'm only 50. I'm only 50. People were on the moon before I was born.
Well, I'm only 55.
Well, I use books a lot. Everything's not on the internet for me. I use a lot of books.
I hate trying to find where information is, so I'm like an old man and I print shit out.
I do this.
Ditto machines. That's what it was.
All right. I do books. See,
yeah, those are
reading for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a mimeograph.
It's a type of mimeograph, yeah. But it was like this weird chemically, and it always had, I mean, it was black, but if you held it up under the light, it always had like a purple sheen to it.
It was a developer. It was a
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Actually, do you know what I got? Do you know the guy who wrote? What was his name? What was the one with the kids' book about the monkey?
Curious George.
Curious George. Yeah.
Well, the guy who wrote that wrote one astronomy book. So he wrote the only book, and H.A. Ray created one astronomy book for kids, right? First edition.
Did you know Brian May was an astrophysicist?
That's his. Well, he wrote a book for kids, and that's his first book. That's the original one.
Nice.
And
did you know Brian May from Queen?
It even comes with maps of the stars and all inside in it.
Nice.
as well as explaining stuff. There's a lot of good content in here. Look, all star charts and stuff. But that's a first edition. I was given that by somebody who found it at home, and they said that their father used to have it, and they gave it to me because they didn't want the book, and I found out afterwards it was a first edition.
Xerox, the old original Xerox machines. That's what we used to call it.
Xerox had a developer as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that dude lives right down the street here. He's like a multi-billionaire. He literally lives right down the road. He's got like 10 freaking. He bought Xerox and A Copy. Remember A Copy back in the day?
Nope. Nope.
A Copy was one of the first like rental systems for schools, for copy machines, schools and businesses, and he made buttloads.
I remember A.B. Dick.
Yeah, A Copy was huge in the corporate and education world. They would rent you photocopy machines with paper and everything. You paid a flat rate no matter how much paper you used. Blah blah. They estimated your workload, and you got the machine and included service, and you didn't have to worry about it. It was one of those. You paid your monthly bill, and that was that. You threw paper in it. They supplied you with the paper and everything.
Shane, you and I have no clue what he's talking about. I think he's lying about his age.
Mold.
That was before
Not
my
that old. Petzel's older than I am. He's got a couple years on me.
Yeah. I mean, my school was so advanced in the 70s that we had NASA engineers that were our instructors, and we had a science course that was NASA.
That's cool.
That was in Indianapolis. My best friend, his dad worked for NASA, and he was the instructor.
That's very cool.
We didn't even have a computer science class till I got into high school. Literally, I was the
Oh,
first.
you're kidding me.
No, I was part of the first class that had a computer class.
We had a computer class. We had a computer class in 72.
Yeah, no, we didn't have any computer classes. You could like go external, like to satellite. We had satellite like tech schools and computer schools, but in class we had nothing like that.
Yeah, we had a timeshare with the local university.
Yeah, so you had the university there. We had Vinyl Regional Vocational Technical School Satellite, which did that, which was in Essex. I actually went there for drafting.
Yeah, the school I went to, the first time we touched a computer was in like '99, and we got these really ancient Apple computers, like with the green screens on them.
I think I got one up in the attic still.
Yeah, like our school was so poor, like we were like all ecstatic to like even have that. It was
I used computers in my high school in 84. We had
you're
computers.
almost the same age I am then. I graduated in 83.
No, I was just started high school in 84.
Yeah, so
and we had computers. We had the old Commodore PET machines.
We had our computer class that I was literally like the first class to ever take computer class. And we had like 3 or 4 Commodores and 3 of the Apple IIs.
Yeah.
And that was it. And we all shared. There was like 25 kids in there, and there was only 7 computers.
Yeah, the Commodore PET was a keyboard, processor, and monitor all in one unit.
Yep.
And that's what we used to use. I learned GW Basic. That's where I learned basic programming.
Yeah, I learned a little bit of basic. I couldn't tell you.
You make the bird flap on the screen by doing print screen and refreshing.
Print, my bracket, senior year computer project, I actually made a video game, no lie, that was a tree in the ground, and there was a little squirrel that would pop up in the hole of the tree, and you drove up a tank, and you had to time the shot because it went deep, 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 deep to take out the squirrel before he dropped back down. You were shooting a squirrel with a tank. Now, what better way to kill a squirrel?
Yeah.
If you're gonna kill a squirrel, do it with a tank.
Yeah, I wrote the old Space Invaders game where you move along the bottom and shoot at the aliens coming down. I wrote a version of that in DW Basic.
That's the only thing I remember about it, Basic. Draw extra. Make something move. You draw the front line, you erase the back line. You draw the front
So when
line,
I learned Basic, there was no graphical interface.
Yeah.
You had no commands to send anything except for text to the screen.
Yeah.
So do you know that about the 8-bit guy on YouTube
What's
here?
that?
Have you ever heard of the 8-bit guy on YouTube here?
No, I haven't.
He's actually created a couple of games. One of the games that he's releasing soon is actually, I believe, for the Pet. Did it with the Pet Ski graphics. So you can get, there's like a modern game that's been made in 2020 that's for the old Commodores. They also have a Commodore 64 version of it as well.
I actually had the 16, the VIC 20, the 64, the 128, the Amiga 500. They're all still back in. My family still has them in Ireland. They're still there and working. They have all of those computers.
Yeah, they used Game Store not far from me. They had an Amiga 500 and with this like port expander thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen anyone review that thing ever before. Like it's got all these ports on it. Looked like it was from like my guess is just looking at the machine itself, it was probably like some sort of CNC type of thing because there was just a lot of grime on it. Kind of like that grime.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
grime you get from a lot of fingering, a lot of touching.
If anybody else wants to join the conversation, I just posted the StreamYard link. We're going to be here for about maybe, I don't know, 30 minutes or so more. We're 2.5 hours in. So if somebody wants to join, you can go to that link and come join the conversation if you wish. For the last 30 minutes, we can have up to 10 people in here. So if anyone wants to come in and join, it is a casual hangout. There's no there's 2 requirements. We avoid politics. We avoid 3 politics, sex, and abusive language. We try and keep the swearing down to the minimal. Accents happen, but they're the only 3 requirements. Other than that, it's just a free for all. So because we want other people to watch, we don't want to be flagged for using bad language in the conversation. But if you're gonna buy by those 3, you're welcome to join in the conversation. Whoever's out there, and if you are out there, hit the thumbs up, guys. There's 13 of you watching, and there's only 1 thumbs up. Those thumbs up rate the channel and rate the video. So please click on those thumbs up if you haven't already. And it's always appreciated if you like and subscribe. I'm lining up some. It's hard to get people to do anything over the holidays. I had no guest this week to do a normal guest live stream. Who was that? Did Lama leave?
Yeah, Lama just left.
What happened?
Hey, clicking on stuff, but I don't.
You hit the wrong button. Did you kick yourself again?
Yeah, I llama did again. I clicked the link.
That was a llama moment.
It's so bizarre. So many apps now and so many things like auto just open a new tab that you just get used to doing it and going, okay, it's going to open a new tab. And of course, this one time it didn't.
So we're going to call that from now on a llama moment.
Oh, they do. You call it Dan or Justin, they'll be like, oh, you llamaed it.
Hey, Liam, I'll tell you how geeky our high school was. Now, this is Indianapolis. Our mascot was an astronaut. Okay? So most mascots are, the Georgia Bee and our mascot was an astronaut, and our high school name was Northwest public high school, we were the space pioneers. Not pioneers, not Midwestern pioneers. We were the space pioneers.
We need more of that in
Space
school.
shot pioneers.
That was 1968 was when the school started.
We need more of those schools. We need more of that type
Yeah.
of stuff in school.
We need STEM to really be
And we
more
not only,
publicly
but we also
used
need to
and
change the
initiated.
way stuff is taught and explained. I like to
I
use the
didn't
one
know-
about
I
about
didn't know it was,
calculus.
I didn't know it wasn't available everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so normal at our high school that, we had a lab. We had a NASA lab off of our high school. It was a separate building.
What I still don't get is there are still schools in the Midwest that teach religion more than they do science in school.
No, I have no problem with. I have no issue with them teaching with schools that teach religion. My son actually goes to a Catholic school. That's one lesson a day. That's it.
Yeah, but they don't teach. They don't really push science. I mean, it's there.
Oh no, his school didn't push science.
Science was required when I graduated. You couldn't graduate without at least like 3 or 4 credits in science.
Well, his school is very science, very big into math. They're very STEM orientated. I think more schools need to be.
I'd have to call BS on that one. Show me one.
Oh, it was on, like, I saw it on a whole report thing like
on CNN
2 or 3 years ago. No, it was on I don't know. It was a study of religion and everything. And there is schools that in grade school, not high school, but in the grade schools have more education. Like if there's 6 classes a day, 3 of them are religion based. One will be math, one will be English, one will be social studies. But there'll be like 3 classes of religion, And it's like, I'm like, no, not really. And I looked it up, and it's like, look it up. There's like whole areas like I want to say the Mormons, but I don't think it actually is. But there's like a group of religious, people, which is fine, that push religion more than they push math and science and technology.
What's worse is I think people who tell their kids that the Earth is flat and we've never been to the moon, should be my personal view, and this is my view, but anyone who educates their child and teaches their kid, or even a teacher who says anything along those lines, the parents, first of all, that's basically you're putting the kids in a position where they're actually going to not be able to be as advanced in knowledge and explore as their peers. So that's to me that's tantamount to child abuse. And I think anyone who teaches their kid that's
they believe that though, dude. There's people that believe the Earth is flat.
Well, here's my answer. There are people who believe that, and I understand, right? And you're entitled to believe what you want, even if you're wrong, and you are wrong in that case. But here's my stance on that is, I won't argue with people like that, because as Mark Twain said, right? We all know Mark Twain, like Samuel Clemens, right? You know him?
No, Mark Twain. Yes, of course.
Yeah. Right. So he said, never argue with a fool because he'll tear you down to his level and beat you with experience. So I never get into arguments with those guys because he's right.
Yeah, I had to leave a chat last night because of that. I was just like, okay, well, you're not listening.
Yeah, well, people I understand if you're not going to be open to hear another idea, fine. And if you want to explain me your idea, even if I believe it's wrong, I'm willing to listen to it. But you need to prove to me that you're right. So if you tell me that the Earth is flat, okay, prove it to me mathematically. Prove it to me.
Math is evil. That's the work of the devil.
But I can mathematically prove that you're wrong, right?
Math is the work of the devil.
It's why ships disappear over the horizon when they go out to sea. Otherwise, you'd see them forever as they sail away. Don't you
know they like go round and round and round?
But I'm just saying
they're actually going in a circle. They're not going around the Earth. You're going around a platter.
Yeah. But my view is, if you have a stance on something, I'm fine with that. And if you want to explain it to me, do. But explain it in a way that proves your point, and explain it in a way that actually nails it. And if you can't do that, then you don't really have a stance.
I love this guy. You got to search him. I can't remember his name, but there's a guy that like he's a flat earther. I think it's Flat Earth. I am a flat earther, or something like that on YouTube. I watch his videos every once in a while. It'll pop up. But he proves the earth is flat. And he like gets on a jet with his cell phone, which kills me that he's using a cell phone and not understanding it's a satellite and all of that. And he's like holding it up to the window. And he's proving to you that the round of the earth is all a government, conspiracy, that they're projecting an image onto your window and it's not actually glass, and it's really a high-tech monitor, and they're just trying to convince you that the earth is round. And he's like using a cell phone on it, and you can see the pixels, dude, and he's just going on. I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? And the guy, I mean, he's like you or me, and he does it, for shock, whatever. He does it more as a sarcasm.
Well, you can't fix stupid.
But there's people that follow him and actually believe this crap.
Oh, there is. But you just can't fix stupid. That's what it comes down to, right?
What wasn't it last?
People have a belief, they lock it into their head, and they see nothing beyond that, and there's no variation to it. So you cannot correct stupid. You can't fix it. And then if you don't argue with them because they have more experience being idiots, that they're going to beat you because they've got more practice.
You can fix
so why fight them?
It's called proper education. Our education system sucks.
Hey, Amanda, I didn't see you. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good. You guys are having a good conversation. I figured I'd come hang out for a little bit.
Oh, my God. She's a flat earther. I know she is.
We're
talking about not arguing with idiots because they'll tear you down to their level and beat you.
You're a flat earther, right? Yeah. You think the earth is flat? And we all go around and
no, I'm not actually. I think the planets are round. I have a T-shirt. It's kind of funny. It says back in my day there were 9 planets, and it's just
because
Pluto was a planet and is a planet and wasn't a. I don't even know if it's a planet anymore, but I still consider it to be.
It's a dwarf planet now.
Why? I never understood that. Why wouldn't it be a planet? What is it? A moon now?
Well, I'll tell you why. Here's the reason why it happened. The International Astronomical Society got together, right? And when Pluto was first found, it was a planet. But after Pluto was found and other planets were found, they started finding dwarf planets all over the place in the Kuiper Belt and so on. Mm-hmm. And they were the same size and some even bigger than Pluto. And so we would have gone from having, if they kept the same size requirements being a planet, we would have had, the kids would not be learning 9 planets in school or 8 like they do today. They'd be learning the names of 27.
Yeah.
So, right? What they decided to do is to say, look, this is going to get out of hand. We should actually make a classification. And part of the classification, one is it needed to be in a stable orbit. Pluto is in a stable orbit, but it's a weird orbit because it comes inside the orbits of other planets. So it actually comes inside.
It's the longest eccentric orbit of all of them, right?
Yeah, and when it comes inside Neptune, it goes out again, and it's the furthest out, right? And they say it needs to have to clear its orbit, but Pluto's is in the Oort cloud. It's out on the edge of the Oort cloud. It can never clear its orbit because the Oort cloud is full of debris. Mm-hmm. So it's all, and now you can argue that Earth has cleared its orbit because we actually fly through dust all the time in our orbit. But that was the argument, right? And they said, I agree with you, Dominic, because it was when I But so they had to cover all these criteria, and when they went through and when they sorted out all these criteria, Pluto no longer fit the criteria anymore because it didn't do half the stuff this.
So what is it now? An asteroid?
It is a dwarf planet. It's not a planet. It's a dwarf planet, just like Aries and Vesta and
dwarf planet
and all these others.
Is still a planet.
It is a planet.
Otherwise, they wouldn't have the word
actual full planet. It's a dwarf planet. So when the kids learn now in school, they learn. The 9 planets. There are 8 planets. My very educated mother just served nachos. Just served us nachos. You know that one, right?
It was New Pickles when I was a kid.
New Pickles? What I learned. My very educated mother just served us 9 pizzas. Or now it's my very educated mother just served us nachos. Could you leave up the P for Pluto, right? But because there'd be so many other planets they'd have to learn, because all of these in the Oort cloud and in the Kuiper belt, especially the Kuiper belt that we found so many out there, the numbers would be astronomically big. It just keeps growing and growing because we're always finding new stuff.
Yeah, but they're
we
way outside.
We had missions coming back. One just came back from one
planetary system.
Yeah, one just came back from the Japanese one just came back from one of those, and the Americans is on its way back from one of those after taking samples of them. But they're big enough to be classified. And there's one other thing weird about Pluto. Pluto and its moon, one of Pluto's moons is large enough to be almost the same size as Pluto. So the moon doesn't orbit Pluto. What happens is they orbit
each other,
an invisible point in space around each other.
Yeah.
Right?
That I didn't know.
And so they're not. So its moons actually don't orbit the planet. It has a point, an invisible point, where they orbit.
They co-orbit each other.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I knew that about the moon, but I didn't know why they ever decided.
That's the reason why.
I was in college, I think, when that happened.
Chain link orbit or something they call that, when the two of them orbit around each other.
No, there's a name
the center of the orbit is between the two. There's a name
called
for
an orange point. What's it called again?
I'd have to look it up. I'm gonna.
So do I. I can't remember right now.
I'm like, it's been so long since I've been at an astronomy thing. They actually they've like, your email's full. Can you please delete it so you can come?
What?
The Berry Center. That's called. It's called a Berry Center. The BARY Center.
Yeah.
And the Berry Center is because their mass, and their gravity wells, the two gravity wells, they orbit, but they actually have they actually create a invisible point in between them. It's
There's
based
a lot
on
of people who put ketchup on hot dogs
and their mass.
So cool.
Did you know that Jupiter's Berry Center is actually just outside of the surface of the sun? So Pluto actually Jupiter doesn't orbit the sun. It orbits an invisible point around the sun, and actually drags the sun around and actually pulls the sun when it orbits. So the sun
because of its mass, or what?
Because it's so big, its mass is so high, yeah, and its gravity well is so large that it actually tugs in the sun. So as it goes around, it actually pulls the sun with it.
Wow.
All the planets pull the sun a little bit. They pull in each other a little bit. But Pluto Jupiter is the biggest one because of its mass being so high.
Why am I getting Schoolhouse Rock in my head now?
Because it's like a schoolhouse.
That's how you learned it.
Interplanet Janet, baby.
Oh, did you know Saturn will float on water?
Saturn would float on water.
Its density is below the density of water. It's so dense. Its density is so low. Even though it's so big, it's the second largest planet out there. Its density is so low that if you put it in an ocean of water, if you could get an ocean big enough, it would actually float.
Is it because it's gaseous or what?
Because it's gas, and it was not only because it's gas, because the density of the gas is below the density of water, which makes it buoyant.
Yeah, it's actually
is so
gas
high
giant or whatever. I don't know.
Viking. Yeah, that's so cool. I love astronomy. It's awesome.
Yeah, yes, I'm a nerd, so I can't. That's
it's okay. Yeah, no, like I said earlier, nerds are cool.
We can't tell. We can't tell the pictures behind you.
Big Bang. Now that they're saying that the Big Bang is not the beginning of the universe.
Oh
no.
Something had to build the big chunk of rock to build the Big Bang. What was before the Big Bang?
A lot of astronomers now are saying that they're going against the Big Bang theory because they're looking at that.
I was gonna say I love the show. How can you go against just? It's a great show.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard that.
I think so.
They're looking at that point of singularity and saying there can't be nothing before that.
No, I agree. There had to be something, we don't know what, but there had to be something before it.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a sudden release of energy which was created the Big Bang, which speeded up the universe and made it time and created time, because time did not exist before that. And created time, space-time, which is expanded, and that's what we exist in. And then the universe cooled down, and molecule went from pure energy, then molecules started sticking together because it cooled enough for protons and electrons to be created, and then eventually it cooled enough more for more and more complex atoms, which created the universe as we know it today. But yes, there had to be something before it. We just
now I'm going to start shooting paper wads because I'm in science class again back in high school.
Oh, good. It's all good. It's passion. It's passion.
There's a great show on cable called The Universe.
Yeah.
And it's an incredible show. It's one of my favorites.
What's the one Will Smith did? I actually like that. That was really well done.
No, I think the one that Neil deGrasse Tyson did was really good.
Yeah, that's good too.
From the very first one.
Mm-hmm.
I think Neil deGrasse Tyson one is very, very good.
Stream. Has any of you guys gotten a Curiosity Stream? I really want to watch that, but it's just like out of my price range for television. I don't watch enough television. It looks really cool.
One thing, Maker, we'll be here for about. We're not going to be on much longer because it's already late. We've been on for 3 hours already.
Oh, crap. I got to go put a chicken in the oven.
Yeah, so we're about to wind it up in the next few minutes anyway. But I'll kick off another one probably
right now,
maybe over the weekend. I might do another one.
I'm not even going to stuff it or nothing. I'm just going to throw it in the oven.
Has anybody seen Greenland?
Not yet. It looks interesting.
It's on right now on pay-per-view.
What is it?
Greenland.
$20. Greenland.
I haven't seen
it.
It's
about a comet.
Movie.
Oh.
About a comet to hit the world, the planet.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it.
Look up on Greenland and look at the trailer.
I will.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I've seen the trailer.
Okay, Llama.
Later, guys.
Take care, man. We're wrapping up in a few minutes anyway because it's going on. We're coming on 3 hours, but we've gone from 3D printing into astronomy conversation.
Sorry.
I love astronomy.
Yeah.
Well, science is cool, and when I was growing up, people who were into sports were the cool kids. Everybody liked the sports guys, right?
Yeah.
Today, it's not the same in school. Now the people like the smart kids.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're finding a hybrid between the smart kids that go into this that are in sports. They do both. But you rarely have one or the other. It's normally either a combination or just people who are just generally smart, right? And when I was going to school, everybody liked jocks. All the girls liked jocks. Nowadays, they're not good. That's not who they're looking at anymore.
Gamers. It's the gamers and the scientists.
You're a teacher. You should know more.
Yeah.
Gamers,
it's the gamers. Like I know everybody jokes because I always would tease, some people and say stuff about esports, but like I feel very passionate about it. I feel almost more passionate about that than I even do math and science because you can use math and science in esports, and kids are using geometry to kick a ball for Rocket League off the wall to make it go in the goal. I'm like, how did you know how to do that? They're like, oh, it's just obviously I like math. I mean, it just was amazing the things the kids are doing with video games, and they're learning it in a way that's educational. And we're trying to leverage right now, like being able to use some of those platforms, a little more open.
What grades do you teach?
I'm a coach. So I coach K-5 teachers. Okay. But I get to go in and model lessons and do a lot of different really cool stuff. Like that's why I said I did some stuff with my buddy that works for NASA. He used to be our tech coach at the district. And if the kids are working on something that's space related, I just call them up and say, hey, I need some stickers. Can you send me some stuff? Posters, stickers, whatever. And we raffle them off.
Yeah. I have boatloads of those at home. You should try get the kids into Kerbal.
Oh, what is that?
Kerbal space program. Kerbal is really cool. It's a game, but they actually design and build their own rockets. But the math involved and the physics involved is real, because the guys who built Kerbal worked with NASA to get the physics of it correct.
Oh my god!
The other thing is they're learning about a solar system. You should look at what's it called? It's called Solar System Sandbox.
Okay.
Solar System Sandbox allows you to take a solar system, and you can change stuff. Like you can increase the orbital speed of planets. You can take out planets and put in a bigger one. You can see real time how that affects everything around. So if you got, let's say you got Jupiter, and you got a model of the solar system, and you took Jupiter and you made it 3 times bigger, 3 times more mass, and then hit go, you would actually see the orbits of the planets around it change, and the moon. You'd actually see the sun actually its orbit become a bigger wobble than it is today. It will actually change in real time. So Solar System and Sandbox is fantastic, and Kerbal is great because they end up building rockets and launching them. But the physics of how it's done in it is actually real.
Well, I went to something, I think it was in New Jersey. They have like a sci-fi club or whatever. It was Lonnie Bunis. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Know.
He's like a space author, artist. Like he does a bunch of things, and he was telling me about Celestia. So like I've been trying to get.
Celestia is more about a tour of the solar system.
Yeah, just something like that, because right now we're 100% virtual. So, but I tagged both of those. I tagged the Kerbal and the solar system.
Kerbal, you have to learn how to do it. Solar System Sandbox is very, very easy. Okay. And like you could click on the planet, as I said, or you could go. What's really cool, if you're talking about gravity with the kids, you go in and you show it, and you select the sun and delete the sun in the solar system. The planets, you see the planets doing their orbits, and then when you delete the sun, they'll go and they'll travel off in a straight line. Because what an orbit is an object traveling in a straight line, but it's trapped inside the curvature of space-time created by the sun. And that curvature, so that straight line becomes a geodesic, which is an orbit, right? And when you take away the sun, all they do is travel in a straight line afterwards. And you can actually show them that on the screen. You see the planets move off in a straight line away from each other because the sun has disappeared.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, they'll like anything that's open source like that. Like if I can.
Well, Kerbal is not open source. You have to pay for. It's a game, but they do educational subscriptions, but it's $10 right now. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. My niece would probably like that, actually.
Yeah, but the Solar System Sandbox is free.
Oh, cool.
And it's really, really cool. Like if you're talking about how stuff works in space, how planets orbit and so on, you can actually change stuff, and you can show them real time and even speed up the action, so the orbits become faster or whatever. You time lapse it, you can increase the timing, and you can actually see real time what's happening on the screen, and you can explain to the kids how it's happening and why it's happening. It's super cool. I've done outreach and I've used it.
We just put a sphere on a string and then let go.
Yeah, but it's cool to see on a simulation.
Or like a yo-yo.
Yeah, but on a simulation, you actually see them, the planets doing their orbits, and then all of a sudden they start going off in straight lines. And then you explain do you have one of those pivoting stools on the bearings?
I mean, I have a chair right here. I could just
no.
But we're not in person right now.
Okay, no. When you go back into class, if you have there's a stool that you can get that's on bearings, so it spins really easy. And what you do is you give the kids to teach them about the momentum of planets. You give them 2 small weights in their hand, maybe 5 pounds or less, right? 2.5 pounds, and you get them to hold their hands out, and you spin them, and they spin really slowly, and this teaches them angular momentum. So they spin really slowly. And then what you say is, okay, now bring your hands into your chest slowly. And as they do this, they gain speed because the square of the distance decreases. So their angular momentum, the energy has to go somewhere, it goes into their rotation. And they slow down, they put their hands out again, and they just slow down. And it shows them angular momentum of planets orbiting the sun and moons orbiting the planet. It kind of shows some of that. And it's kind of cool. And then where else does that happen? Ice skaters. They curl up, they spin really fast. That's angular momentum. But when they put their arms out again, they slow down. So you can actually relate space with stuff they see on TV and stuff. And that's how I teach science. I'm not a teacher, but I do outreach for NASA, like as an ambassador, and all of that I try and make it practical as possible, so they actually see the linkages and link it. Like I link sound and light. What you learn about light is kind of weird. But if you link it the way sound acts, because sound and light act similar, even though one's mechanical, one's electromagnetic. But when you do that linkage on the properties, how they're similar, it makes a lot of sense to people when you do it like that. So that's how I do sciencey stuff.
Yeah, we do. I've been trying to get more of that with for the kids while we're virtual because they're checking out. It's like Llama said, I'm checking out. I feel like I'm at school. But if you love it, and the kids really do, they can do some games like that. We use Minecraft Education Edition a lot, but we're still working out the kinks on doing things like solar. Like you can make models, but we're still there's not a lot of movement unless you put a model on top of something to use redstone to propel it or move it or do something like that. Like they can make a model that way.
That's why the
That's so
sandbox
cool.
would be really cool because they can play around with their own solar system and they can make their own solar system and they can see how it interacts, and it's free.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, but if you but other sciencey stuff like about light and stuff, I do a lot of cool stuff about light when I do, but I can do them virtually as well. So if you like, I'm sure you have friends like because you not the NASA guys that'll be willing to do stuff. But if you want, I can do stuff. I do stuff with light and spectroscopy.
Oh, very cool.
And I can do it online because I have all the equipment here at home.
Okay.
I have my own gas tubes.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, so I do spectroscopy and stuff and presentations.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of really cool stuff when we were in person with the kids. When I taught fourth grade and I taught middle school. But I did so many different simulations and like on Discovery Ed and stuff like that. And we would make things, we would do mechanical kinetic energy and we would make our own things and like use a straw and a paper cup with some like paper, like lids, like the recyclable lids or whatever. And we would wind it up and see how long you have to wind it to get it to go a certain distance. And they would have races outside and it was amazing. Like,
did you ever do the solar system in their pocket?
I did. I never taught fifth grade, and that's fifth grade curriculum here. So no, I didn't. Because when I went to middle school, I taught ancient civilizations and English literature, and I had the honor students, and I had the students that were second language learners. So I had 10 kids that spoke 10 different languages at once.
Yeah, well, I've done. I
got to get out of here. So have a good night and have a good
have a good Christmas, guys.
Nice sweater yesterday, Shane. By the way.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to take off as well.
All right, Dave.
I see you
wrap
guys.
up as well. Anyway,
Have a Merry Christmas.
And you.
Jane, have a Merry Christmas.
You too, Dave.
All of you.
Take care, guys.
Yep. See
Merry
ya.
Christmas. So yeah, but
That's
I try and do interactive science stuff when I'm doing it because I do a lot with kids because I do astronomy outreach as well as part of an astronomy club, not only with NASA but I do it myself. My astronomy club is big into outreach, so I do a lot of explaining stuff to young kids. Like I explain how the sun works to a young child, and they get it because the way you explain it, right? It's all about take care, Kieran. Have a good Christmas. But it's all about how you explain it to somebody. You can like when you have kids learning calculus in high school, right? And they have no clue what it's for.
Yeah.
But explain to them calculus was invented by Isaac Newton to explain the orbit of the planets and show how that applies. Now calculus makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
You don't do enough of that in school.
No.
There's not enough time in school to do that.
This is my graphing calculator from high school. You know what I did with it? I sat in the back of the class, was very quiet, and I learned how to code it to play Tetris. Because I was so bored and they didn't explain anything to me. I'm like, yeah, y equals mx plus b, whatever. Move on, like whatever it was, at that time, I didn't understand it. Like now I understand the why, but back, in the 90s, early 90s, even 80s, like they did not explain that very clearly.
Schools need to do more of that. They need to show practical application.
Yeah.
And once you show that, then it makes the world of sense. And
absolutely. I tell them all the time, go do fractions and go cook with your parents. Go cook with them. Give them a quarter measuring cup and ask them for a half cup of flour and see what happens.
Yeah.
Do some experiments.
Yeah. Cooking is how you learn fractions.
That's the only way I learned it as a kid. That's the only way I learned it. Like in time, no one ever told me in third grade that a quarter of a clock is 15 minutes. So forever, I thought it was 25 as a child.
Really?
Yeah. No one ever explained that to me. They just said, what's a quarter past whatever? And I was like, I don't know, 10.25. Because I'm thinking a quarter is 25 cents. Like those are the kind of things that, they're not still going on now. But, in the 80s and 90s, that's kind of where it was. But yeah,
I have a
I didn't
buddy of
learn.
mine who's super smart in physics. I mean,
Yeah.
and he's only got he barely made high school. Passed
That's
high
the
school.
only part I can't pass. I'm trying to get my single subject credentialing in science, and that's the only part I can't pass is the physics.
Well, physics is a lot of formulas.
Mm-hmm. I'm not a good memorizer.
Yeah, memorization is a big thing in physics, because if you know the formula, and then you take your data and you fill in the spots, and whatever you're missing is what you calculate.
Yeah.
And then the understanding, like I mentioned earlier on, about not really sitting on your chair.
Mm-hmm.
And like, why does an egg break but not a basketball when you throw it at the wall?
Right.
It's all about the molecules and the surface tension and the strong and the weak magnetic forces, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
But it's all about, like, but I like to explain stuff we're using examples that they see every day.
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes a world of sense.
Yeah.
Like, if you have pendulums, right? The length of the string of a pendulum dictates how fast it swings, not the weight.
Right.
So no matter how heavy it is, they'll all swing at the same motion. But if you shorten one string, this all of a sudden gets faster, right? And you can explain the reasons why, because it's the square of the distance, right?
Yeah.
So I like to try and do practical stuff like that. When what did he say? The best thing I learned from studying science is that if you don't leave the room for doubt, you haven't learned this. Yes.
Yeah. You have to have that mystery, that phenomenon. Like they're not. You have to almost like leverage their natural curiosity as kids, and just let them create and look and explore and try it. Like, if I'm making a recipe, my husband gets upset because I'll just I just magic it, whatever. I put everything together and it comes out well. But if I don't write the recipe down, that's like doing an experiment, right?
Yeah. But I like to do, like, I used to do stuff like when my son's school in middle school, I brought them all out they got them all to come to the school on the equinox.
Yes. And
I gave them a ruler. I gave them a piece of string and a watch. They all had the watch with them, right? And a piece of paper. And by using that, they measured the circumference of the planet.
Wow, that's cool.
Just by measuring the angle of the shadow of the sun, because you had a 1 meter high ruler, and then you have the angle of the sun, and you measure that, and you use a protractor to measure the angle. So when you measure the angle, and then you divide that angle into 360, and you know the distance from the ruler to the end to where the shadow ended. That's how much that angle goes into 360 X amount of times.
Yeah.
And you multiply it, and then you multiply that number by the distance of the length of the shadow. That gives you the diameter of the planet.
And so you're learning math and science and calculations, and like
fun.
You're doing so many things like at a higher level than anybody else would normally do, just doing bookwork or just doing problems in a book or just doing something else. Like, yeah. I mean,
hey, old curmudgeon.
That's where I get like the whole geometry thing with gaming for kids is they're doing it automatically in their brain. They just don't know what they're doing that's related to the math.
But if you explain it to them after what they actually did, then geometry makes sense, because it's all about angles, and it's all about angles and planes interacting with each other. So that's what I try and do in my sciencey stuff.
Yeah,
I make it hands-on so that they do it. And
I talk about Minecraft all the time.
I just get them to do it. And I'll get them to compare the numbers and say, "What's your number?" And then they'll all give me their numbers and say, "Okay, so you all have a variation on your numbers of about this much." I'll say, then I'll put something up on the screen or write something else for them and say, "Did you know the radius of the circumference of the planet is this number? How close are you to this? That's what you just measured using a piece of string and a piece of wood. You measured the circumference of the planet. Science is cool."
Yeah, I know. It's cool when they figure it out too. Like when they're just doing things and they're like, wait, how come that there's a pattern there? Why is there like I did a lot with the middle school kids. We would have math week or brain week or something. I don't remember what I called it. It was something fun, but it was always about games and making things fun for them to learn, right? Gamifying that experience. And they had to actually like take I think it was a basketball game, and they had a whole bunch of different things that they had to do with basketball. And it wasn't, they could pick a different sport if they wanted to. I didn't care. But they had a bunch of statistics, and they had to tell me what their fantasy basketball team would be and why. And they had to measure angles. Like we went outside, we shot hoops, we did all kinds of things. And it was math. That was when I taught math and science, like for 1 year, and then went back to elementary. But yeah, it was, the stuff we did was just, it was fun. Like it was getting hands-on. And I used to make deals with my kids. I was like, look, we're not going to use the textbook. The textbook is just a reference material. And if you need to do notes because one of your other classes tells you you have to do some notes or whatever, that's fine. We're going to do some notes together. We're going to draw together. We're going to discuss. We're going to talk. We're going to compare. We're going to do all of these things. And we're going to have fun in this class. Is that cool? And they're like, yeah. And then they wanted to start like a club. They were like, can we start a gaming club? And so I started, even though they outlawed Pokemon cards and things like that at school, I was like, you can leave them in my office at school. You can leave them in my office and you can do whatever you want. And you can come in after school and play your strategy club cards, and they would come in and play.
Yeah. Chris is talking about doing chemistry in school.
Yeah.
About fractal distillation.
Yeah. They did
But
like so many things. And that was games.
Stuff.
It was
That's
just
the fun
games.
side of, that's how you get the message across, so they learn it and they never forget it.
I only put like, it's like I have a little, my Minecraft cube that's back there all the time. And that every time the kids jump on, that's the first thing they usually notice when I'm teaching is like, when I come in the classroom, they're like, is that a Minecraft sword back there? Is that and they'll ask, and I'll say, oh, it's a 3D printed, cube, or this, I soldered it together and I did this. And then I talk about math with them and science. And it's like, they are curious about it. If I was like, if you were my teacher, I'd be like, wait, what's all that stuff behind you? I'd be like looking, why do you have rockets? Why do you have, they are naturally curious. They want to know about those things. So I think,
agreed.
Doing that with that and with art and everything, like with the shapes and the minerals and all the stuff that we do with Minecraft is,
did you ever tell them?
Talk about it all.
Did you ever tell the kids that they're made from star stuff?
Yes. That's
the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Did you explain the periodic table of the elements?
Yeah.
And anything heavier than iron is made from the death of a star.
Mm-hmm.
So every element higher than iron, other than the few that are man-made at the end of the periodic table, they're all made in the moments a star dies, or just before, during, or just after. And if you explain to kids that these elements are made there and let them just leave it at that for a moment in the class, because I've done this presentation, and they kind of go, but we have calcium in our bones, and we have iron in our blood, and they start to say, yeah, but how do we get those from when those stars dying?
Yeah,
you're here because a star has died.
Yep.
That's how you work. That's how all those elements exist.
Yeah,
the
it's super
that we have
cool.
on the planet is all the gold we ever will have
Yeah.
on the planet, because it's here when our planet formed, right? All of this other stuff came about all because something had to die.
Yeah.
And hands-on learning is the
Me
only way to
too.
do it. And
Yes.
or lead them somewhere that's interesting, that they kind of go, oh, but how come this is here then? Or how come that is there then? And then it clicks in their head because they make the relationship. That's what that's how I do my sciencey stuff.
We have them. There's a chemical or chemistry pack that you can download in the education edition, and we have them go in and make things, and they have to go through like this tutorial with non-playable characters, and they talk to the characters and teaches them how to do it.
You did?
Yeah.
I hope you
Yes.
did, not in the lab. But since you did, but the elements had to come from somewhere that they had to use, their body had to use to put you there. So that's funny though.
Absolutely, yes. No, the kids, they just love it. Like they love going in and making things. Like we taught them how to make glow sticks out of gas. So they had to mix the gases together, and then they have this little stick. And it looks like a lightsaber, and they run around the world and they're like lighting things up and doing things, and like.
You should get a UV light and a bottle of tonic water.
Oh, is that the one? That's the one that shows up.
It glows blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're showing them stuff like that, I always do it with them, having them lined up, and I have a marker saying which one is which, because a lot of them are clear; they're invisible dyes in them, And then I'll go, and this one glows blue under UV light, and I show a few others. I go, I'm really sorry, and I reach down for that, and I swamp it back, and everyone reacts to it, and then they'll say, "Oh, it's just tonic water," and I show them the tonic water glowing. It's the quinine, actually. The UV light interacts with the quinine, and the quinine in the which is added to the water, actually takes in the UV light, uses some of its energy, and releases a small bit of it as heat, and so it emits the photon at a lower energy, which is the blue color. Right? That's what happens, right? I explain all of this, but it's kind of cool that they actually see me drinking this, and this general stuff you can buy in any store.
Yeah, we had a teacher once. I think it was a potato. It was either potato or like a jicama or something. And then he put an almond sliver in it and lit it on fire. And first he was like, "What is this?" And we're like, "Oh, it's a candle. You know, it's a candle." Like, and he lit it on fire, and we're like, "Yeah, see, it's a candle." And then he's like standing there and he's talking and he's holding the candle and he's walking around the classroom, and he comes back and he just bites it. And we're all like, did he just eat a candle? Like, and afterwards he told us it was a potato or a jicama or some kind of vegetable. But it was like the best thing. I still remember that was like 6th grade or 7th grade or something. But that was the best. And we had laser discs back then because we were high tech back then.
I have lasers.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. But no, it's so fun.
Chris said that liquid nitrogen is a pale blue. It is.
Yes.
Well, that's why we have Neptune and Uranus are the color they are, is because of the amount of it's actually not oxygen in their case, it's actually nitrogen. They also have a bluish green color, which is why they're that color.
Yeah, those were like, I always liked those outer planets, like the weird ones. Pluto was my favorite planet, though.
You're talking about the gas giants on the outside.
Yeah, like I like the ones.
The ice giants.
Like
the
way in the back.
Giants, like Saturn and Jupiter are the gas giants.
Yeah.
And Neptune and Uranus are the ice giants.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe because I was born in February or something. I don't know, but I love them. Those are my favorite. I wouldn't
go there because they have 1,000 miles per hour winds.
Yeah, I live where it's windy
it's
too. It's
breezy outside now. It's way better. Way
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to go there unless I was super protected for sure. But I was that kid when I was in, I don't know, 1st grade, whatever, and Challenger went up, and I was like, I'm going to be a astronaut teacher. And then that happened, and I'm like, I'm not going to be an astronaut anymore, but I'm still going to love the stars.
Well, I have there's one of the guys who was in my astronomy club. His granddaughter has been to every space camp since she was old enough, and she's starting in college now.
Wow!
And she wants to be a doctor, but she wants to be a doctor in the space program.
Nice.
She doesn't want to go to space. She wants to be a doctor, preparing them and being in mission control on back here. For the space missions.
Oh, that's awesome.
For the trips to Mars. Specifically, she wants to cover the trips to Mars.
That is so cool. Yeah, that's so
cool. We
all
wanted to be an astronaut as a kid, I think.
I know.
Either an astronaut, a doctor, or if you were really young, a fire engine.
I don't think I wanted to be a fire engine or a doctor ever. I always knew I was going to be a teacher and do something with science, but yeah, that's so fun though.
That was cool.
Yeah.
So you came in really late, old curmudgeon, because we said we were going to wrap it up, and that was 20 minutes ago.
I know. I'm sorry. We can talk.
No, it's good. If it comes to talking in science, I could talk about it for.
Oh, I could too. I just love like weird things. Like I made my own little light, you know.
Oh, LED lights
with a jar and like. Things like that I would have around the classroom, and like my kids would always one year they used recyclable materials to make 3D models of animals, and they did like reports on how you can help save endangered species, and like they were naturally curious, and I just sat back and watched. Like I never thought I really worked hard.
Marcel wants to be a fire engine too, he said.
Yeah, Marcel, you could still be a fire engine.
Yeah, and guys, since you're on there, thumbs up and hit the reminder if you wanted, so you get notified when I do come on, so you don't miss out. Because it always starts out quiet, but there's always people who join, and the conversation gets going. And the problem is getting the conversation to stop at the end because we all want to keep going.
For sure. Well, anytime you need to jump off here, I'm good. I just popped in to say hey. And
I think we'll wrap up. So it's because I've been on for 3.5 hours now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you need a break.
Yeah. And but thanks guys for coming. It's fun as always. I do not have a scheduled normal when I do the 1 hour interview next week. Because it's Christmas, there's nobody around. Christmas and New Year, there's nobody around. But Marcel, be nice. But in the new year, I do, and I'm aiming to try and get some. There's a couple of vendors I'm trying to get on. I'm working on our tour. I do have not Creality. I have G-Tech lined up for sure. You know, Spring from G-Tech. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Spring is going to come on and
very cool.
And then I have someone from our tour support coming in to do it on one of my streams. But I'm working on trying to get. There's one special guest I'm trying to get in. I won't reveal any names right now till it's set up. But it's someone you all know, but probably have never ever seen online. Never seen it live online. Let me rephrase that. So I'm working on that right now. So that'll be an interesting chat.
That sounds awesome.
So I will do another one of these hangouts probably. I don't know if I'll do one this weekend, but I'll probably do one early next week at least. At some point next week I'll do one. So if you hit the bell on the channel so you know when I'm coming on. I normally announce them, but today was just what the hell. So I just decided to do one today because there's nothing else happening.
I know. We're just waiting for the tamales to defrost so we can have tamales tonight.
Oh, okay. Where are you in Texas?
California.
Or you're in California? Where about?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. You're in SoCal. Yeah.
Yeah. San Bernardino area. San Bernardino.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because Caltech is in Pasadena.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's maybe like if I drove there, maybe 30 minutes away, if that.
Yeah. I've been to the Caltech because I go to the JPL offices down there.
Yeah. I think, gosh, it's been forever since I've been, but we went in high school, middle school. That's probably the last time I was actually physically there at JPL, but yeah.
Well, each year they do an open house. They didn't do it this year. They do an open house, and the problem about the open house is they announce it, and they give it time it's going to start, and within about 5 minutes, all the tickets are free. You just get your own transport there, right? But the tickets are gone within 5 minutes.
It's nice when you know people that work there.
It does help, yes. Well, they always ask us as ambassadors to come down and help with the crowds and actually do presentations there.
Oh, very
so you have
cool.
the scientists there, but we also do stuff as well at it, and they ask us to come help them. So we get access to the whole free for all, at least once a year when they have those open houses down there.
Oh, that's so much fun. Yeah, they're very nice and they're very awesome people too. Anytime I've asked for anything for classrooms or teachers or kids, they're amazing.
Yeah, I love dealing with those guys. I'm also an ambassador for the Vatican Observatory as well.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, they're based in Texas.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
So, all right, guys, thank you. Have a great Christmas. If I don't see you next week, I'll do one next week. But if I don't see you next week, have a great New Year. Right? Yes. Don't drink too much or too little. And well, I don't drink, but I know most people have a drink problem. 2 hands and 1 mouth. It's a terrible problem.
Yeah.
But so have fun, and I'll see you hopefully in the next week or so. If not, enjoy your holidays and take care.
Take care, guys.
Take care, guys. Thank you. Bye. Come back.